Beyond the dark portal lies a universe of unending conflict, where the shattered realm of Outland has become the battlefield for a dark and murderous crusade. The Burning Legion has returned to claim vengeance, with a host of new terrifying warriors, such as the Wrathguard, Fell Reavers, the Shivan, and Warp Stalkers. While Outland's native denizens, the Ethereals, Nether Dragons, Naru, and the Gron rally countless others to war. Sparked by these events, abandoned sanctuaries on Azeroth now pulse with new life. Karazhan, the darkened tower of Medivh, bristles with arcane energy and the horrors unleashed by its former master. Its cursed halls now teem with the restless shades of the past. Yet, within the fabled caverns of time, the past has come full circle. Despite the efforts of the Bronze Dragonflight, windows into Azeroth's history have opened wide, allowing adventurers to experience the past firsthand. Journey through Hillsbrad and Durnhold Keep when the young orc Thrall first set out to discover his epic destiny. Venture through the Black Morass, where the fallen guardian Medivh first opened the Dark Portal and ushered in an age of chaos upon the world. Witness the majesty of the World Tree Nordrassil as 3 heroic armies join forces to defend it from the insidious Archimonth and put a final end to the Burning Legion's invasion of Azeroth. In the present, a proud, ancient race has embraced a new beginning. Quel'Thalas has been reborn. The High Elves, now known as Blood Elves, lost the source of their eternal power when their kingdom was ravaged by the undead scourge. Desperate to replenish their energies, they now siphon dark magics from beyond the world. Flush with their newfound strength, the Blood Elves have reclaimed their beloved Eversong Forest. Based within their capital of Silvermoon City, they continue their reckless quest to claim new sources of arcane power. Once staunch allies of the Alliance, the Blood Elves turned away from their former comrades in arms. Their obsession to gain power at any cost has set them on a collision course with the Horde, and a destiny they could not have foreseen. The call to arms has been sounded, as champions from both the Alliance and the Horde charge boldly into the realms beyond. The Burning Crusade rages on, and the time for heroes is now.
World of Warcraft, baby! Yeah! My nipples are all hard and I'm gonna pwn noobs.
We're at EB Games in West Hollywood for the release of the Burning Crusade.
Waiting for the World of Warcraft expansion to come out.
Do you guys play together?
No, we play different servers. He's Forward, I'm Alliance.
Oh, that's like separate bedrooms.
Wait until she levels up so I can kill her.
We knew what a magnitude it would be, but, honestly didn't think it would be this big of a line.
There's a bunch of noobs here. I can see them.
Have your receipts ready, I'll make it go faster.
You know, I'm looking forward to the new Alliance race.
New levels, new weapons, flying mounts, new professions, new races.
I'm looking for World PvP because I hate Horde, so I kill Horde when I see Horde.
Lord!
I think I'm looking forward to my little pet that I'm going to get when I get the collector's edition.
I wanted the pet.
If someone doesn't play WoW, what do you say to convince them?
I really didn't have to say much. I got him into WoW. I got like 7 of my friends into WoW. My ex-girlfriend, emphasis on the ex.
I wouldn't talk to them if they don't play WoW.
It feels great. So who's hotter, the Night Elves or the Blood Elves?
Oh, the Blood Elves.
Blood Elves.
Night Elves. Night Elves.
I would say that the Night Elves are probably 17.334% hotter than the Blood Elves, repeating, of course.
My main is a Tauren Shaman. His name's Thangor. That's what I'm talking about. He's a elemental, so he's really into doing a lot of damage for as much as he can. I have an Orc Hunter. I have a Troll Rogue, and I have an Undead Mage. So I like doing a lot of damage.
I got tomorrow off of work, and I got today off of work to level all day, and tomorrow off of work. So tonight I'm gonna buy it, go set it up, and play all night long.
I gotta work at 7. I'll probably play right up until I get to work.
All night until school in the morning.
Yeah, I got the laptop in the car so I can load it on the way, in all honesty.
I don't know. I'm just gonna install it and just try to get maybe up to level 62 or something. It's probably gonna take a while, but however long it takes.
I think people are afraid of how powerful we are, because if we were to unite, which we already have, and begin to take over the world, I think 8 million people now, I think that the world would be in for a big surprise when 900 shaman come running over that mountainside, you know what I'm saying?
There's a collector's edition on the back. Yeah, you got yourself the DVD collection with behind-the-scenes stuff. You get the soundtrack from the game. You get the art of the game. You get a collector's edition card pack. And the reason why I came, the Netherwelt pet. Free map with every purchase.
Tell me about your most epic quest or battle to date.
Raiding this girl's molten core.
I've heard some of the women I know that play complaining that the new female character models promote an unrealistic standard of beauty. There's no reason for, a supernatural adventure to have birthing hips. It's just no reason.
I'm gonna do an impression of my paladin, and one thing that I love about the paladin is healing. Is I get to heal my friend. They just do this with holy, I don't know, bubbles, and then boom.
I've been waiting long enough. 10.5-hour shift of work, 6-hour wait for the game. It's a good day.
I just bought one, but I bought everything else. The binder, the book. No, I'm going to go home, install it, take a shower, log on, try to claim some names.
I'm very psyched.
What would get you to stop playing?
I don't want to stop. Why would I want to stop?
I'm going to the Dark Portal! Woo! I'm almost level 61!
Very excited to play this. I've been waiting. Waiting.
How long are you going to play for?
All night. All week maybe. All week.
You don't have to work tomorrow?
Work. There's no such thing as work with WoW.
And just like that, greetings, ladies and gentlemen of Azeroth. Welcome back to The Dark Portal, Episode 5. My name is Cargos. I'm joined today by my fellow co-host in a banana suit, Crix. Crix Gaming. Good to see you, Crix. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with a deep dive, a Karazhan deep dive today. A very special treat for you guys. Crix, how are you, man? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I just want to show off my costume for a little bit.
You're looking fantastic. And we are joined by two very special guests. If you guys have watched some of the past episodes, you probably have seen Dr. Kael here before. Actually, monstrous brain, 5-head galaxy brain, TBC player. Crix asked him how many times he's thought he's cleared Karazhan in his career, and he said, 250 times maybe. Some obscene number. So, we are so thankful to have him here today, and also a very special new guest to the Dark Portal. But I've done stuff with him in the past. I've also broken bread with this man in real life. Went to BlizzCon with this man in real life. Dustbone, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
It is very good to have you all here. I hope the sound is reasonably okay. You know how it is over here at Cargos Gaming. Very, very scuffed. So, yeah, guys, I hope you're excited for this Karazhan deep dive. Here are our slides. Get hype. Exactly. So, awesome, Mr. Dr. Kael. Quick update with you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Staying busy. Of course, my private server life has got me also very busy. We got Sunwell Plateau coming out, and yeah.
Hell yeah, staying busy. And he's turn Kael down a little bit. All right. So Dr. Kael, just for those of you who maybe didn't catch the past episodes, Dr. Kael, man, if you could be so kind as to share with the people kind of what your current role is in playing TBC at the moment, like brief history of the game, if you could.
Yeah, so I'm currently playing on an Endless TBC. It's a private server. I've played. I'm the guild master of Get Carried. We are a North American raiding guild. We've been a guild in and out of private servers on retail, from Wrath retail all the way out to Warlords of Draenor. And then ever since then, we've kind of been on and off. And yeah, played a lot of TBC. Would be about 60% of my time.
Hell yeah, brother. So, and that's Crix, that's your guild too, right? Get Carried?
Yeah, Kael's my master. That's my raid leader.
Kael is his master. There it is.
I try to stay on his good side as much as possible, but every now and then someone named Taryn messes me up.
Guys, we're lucky. I think a lot of you out in the chat are in the same boat, kind of low IQ takes on TBC. We are so lucky. We're about to get a master class on TBC Karazhan. I'm hype. I'm about to learn so much, chat. I mean, our goal here today is to just make you guys have a little bit of confidence. Once the day comes and it's time for Kara, you're going to think back to the Dark Portal and be like, yo, I learned actually a good amount from that. I feel a little bit more confident talking on Karazhan, getting just a basic understanding of all the fights, where it is, attunements. We'll just get into the slides and show you kind of what the agenda is. Here is the beautiful medley of bosses, opponents you'll be facing in Karazhan. Look at them all laid out there. You may be thinking to yourself, holy shit, that's like 40 bosses. But not so fast. We'll catch you caught up to speed there on why there's so many of them right there. So anyway, agenda. We just went over guest introductions. Oh, you know what? Actually, you're not out of the water yet. Dustbone, you there?
Yes, sir.
We always have to put the new guest through some cringe, man. You ready? You're on the hot seat.
Let's do it.
History with the game. Go!
So I've been playing since beta. A long time. Stopped playing retail about Legion. Played pirate servers. Haven't done too much TBC private servers, a little bit on and off, but a lot of big classic guys. So spend a lot of my time doing that.
Oh yeah, he's currently on Onslaught, not on Onslaught, in Onslaught, on Scarum. So sweating it out with some of the best players in the game, honestly. And you're still actively raiding with them and all that stuff. Dustbone has joined me on a lot of stuff like Rogue deep dives in the past, just workshops. We did this SI7 Academy thing one time. Just known the dude for a long time. Anyway, moving on. What class fantasy resonates with you most and why?
I would probably say Protection Warrior.
Really? I thought you were going to say Rogue. Okay.
No. Like, I enjoy playing Rogue, but, class fantasy-wise, I just like the whole warrior aspect, just being the meat shield, protecting your friends and carrying everyone through a dungeon.
All right. Okay. I like
yeah,
that.
I mean, my first character was warrior. I tanked up through Sunwell at the original TBC and played my rogue on the side. I didn't really switch to rogue until Wrath.
Gotcha. So you're you recently switched over to Rogue, but prop protection warrior resonates with you the most. Interesting. Okay, what race resonates with you the most and why?
Trolls. Love the trolls. I like them toes. No socks, no shoes. Let's go.
No socks, no shoes. I know many of folk that have the exact opposite opinion. They refuse to play anything that doesn't wear shoes.
Oh, most people hate trolls, but it's either troll or orc when you're a rogue, and fuck, raptors are just so much more cooler than wolves.
I will tell you, yeah, the raptors are sick for sure, man, for sure. Okay, favorite snack and why? Oh, favorite zone and snack, and version of WoW. And yeah,
Shadow Moon Valley. I like the ambiance. I like just the lore behind it. Definitely one of my favorite zones.
Edgy choice.
Favorite snack? Shit, I don't know. Goldfish, I would say. Maybe fruit.
What kind of goldfish?
You're talking? Ate a lot of fruit.
Vanilla goldfish, or are we talking?
Yeah, just cheddar. Just regular cheddar. I don't like that powdered shit that they put on it.
Extreme flavor explosion goldfish.
No, those flavor blasting things. No, this is not 1995.
Okay, good. Keep it classic. And favorite version of WoW, and why?
It's gonna be classic.
Classic. Ooh, I like. We're doing a TBC podcast, but classic's number one for you. I'm kind of in the same boat. Love TBC though. And last question.
Oh, I love TBC.
Before you're through the cringe segment, is what year you would visit if you could visit any year, and why? Past, present, future.
Probably sometime during the Roman Empire.
That's a solid choice. I love it. You have just the snap answers too, man. Hopefully you guys just have a tiny bit, feel more comfortable listening to Dusty now, hearing that, we're all cut from the same cloth at the end of the day for the most part. So thanks for that. And you heard that from Dr. Kael a couple episodes ago when he was on. All right, guys. So let's just get right into it, man. What the hell is Karazhan? Where is it? Is it going to be available on launch? A lot of people type something in the chat if you've never done Karazhan before. There's going to be a lot of people, I'll tell you in advance. Why don't we start with maybe Crix, bro? Give us the rundown on Kara.
I love Karazhan. It's my favorite raid ever, and it's Abyss.
It's
annoying, too, because you get to go out of your way to get to it. Unless you have A-Tish, but there's no really quick way there, which is annoying, because it's in... What is that place called?
Dead Wind Pass.
Dead
Wind Pass. Yep. So let me just say, it's kind of cool though that it's kind of cool, right? That even though TBC comes out, there's still a reason to go back into the old world. That's something that, as someone who's not like an expert TBC player, I think to myself, man, it's kind of a bummer. The old world's gonna be GG. You're just gonna be living in Shatra City all day, every day, 24/7. But you still have to hump it around and get into the old world, get mats, and go to Karazhan and stuff like that. Dr. Kael, what about more on the size of the raid, logistically getting to the raid? Is there anything that comes to mind that people should know about just the basics of Kara?
We'll get into the attunements, but starting the attunements right away, the second you can. Size of the raid is 10 man, so trying to optimize. If you're in a big guild coming into TBC, trying to break up your current raids, so you're trying not to overlap loot too much. Those are some obstacles you're going to have to tackle, but other than that, getting your pre-raid to go in there isn't too terribly bad, and it's pretty much free gear for the most part. It's a nice raid.
Free gear in the sense you think the difficulty level is low enough that it's pretty chill in there. It's not gonna take many souls.
Yeah, if Crix can make it through there his first go around, it's the cap's not too high.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, do you like
barely made it?
Do you like doing Karazhan, or is it a pain in the butt too? Like just fun wise,
Of course, like when we're starting on a server, Karazhan hits. It's exciting, especially when you're like, all right, I need like 6-7 items in there. As a prop paladin, I pretty much don't get to stop running it until we can just completely shift it off the schedule. But overall, it starts out really fun, and it just turns into like a chore. And eventually, when it drops badges, it's a very easy chore because you'll have so much gear. Because there will be a reason why to run Karazhan at a later point in TBC. Because there's a patch where they add where badges start dropping, and when you're full T6, it's just a sprint through the dungeon.
Now on the private servers, stuff is tuned up a bit, as you guys may have heard in the chat. Some of these servers are as high as 2.5x on certain bosses and stuff, harder than the alleged original values. So my question would be, how long does like a Karazhan take place? In a proper guild, on fresh versus speed run times and stuff like that. Are we talking about 2-3 hours, or are we sub?
Yep. So you'll see anywhere from 2 to 2 to 4 hours. Some guilds will do 3 hours and then come back and do maybe Prince, Chess Prince, and the Dragons. Usually the Dragons are always last. Usually, just depending. The learning curve on Netherspite seems to be difficult for people that have never seen the fight, whereas for experienced players, Netherspite's not too terribly bad. And then if going on to Nightbane's just kind of, can your healers sustain long enough? It's a long fight for 2 healers, but you could 3 heal the fight.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, so about 2-3 hours. My next thing would be, what kind of gear drops in Karazhan? Are there any tier pieces, for example, in Karazhan?
Yeah. Yep. So you have tier gloves and tier helm drop out of Karazhan. 2 out of your 5 tier 4 pieces. Both generically easy bosses. Prince drops the helm and Curator drops your gloves. There are some items in Karazhan that will last, very well into T5. Assuming you don't just pick up an immediate upgrade.
Gotcha. So there are a couple tier pieces in there. And, I guess we'll get into more of the gear distribution later. That's more of the agenda. So I think we covered... Is there anything else, guys, Karazhan? Just the broad strokes. If you guys have any questions in the chat, too, about if you're just totally clueless on Karazhan, ask them right now. Do you like Karazhan, Dusty? How do you feel about Karazhan?
Oh, I love Karazhan. It's probably one of my favorite dungeons, too. Going in there for the first time, doing all the bosses is just always a blast. It does become a chore towards the end, but I mean, it's like that with every raid,
For sure.
Yeah, it's fun for 2 weeks.
We're still doing Molten Core, so...
So this isn't exactly the most original opinion, guys, but I will share what I've heard, and I do share with this sentiment that a lot of times in raids, you're used to these vast, expansive areas that just go on, and you just, as far as the eye can see. Karazhan feels very intimate. It almost feels like a dungeon as opposed to a raid. And I personally like 10-man raiding. When it comes to raiding, that's probably my favorite format, because it feels like you have the most impact in that setting. And the aesthetic of Karazhan, I don't know if you can pick up on it just looking at this tower. It's like a haunted mansion type of thing, So I guess, Medivh, which is some evil sorcerer dude, he came into Deadwind Pass, he blasted it with arcane magic, made all the rocks jagged, and now he's holed up in this fortress, and you're going in there. So all the music, it's got that kind of like Baroque piano music playing. It's like very dark, spooky, like Halloween-y type, and I enjoy the aesthetic immensely, and it's definitely up there as one of my favorite raids. So it doesn't look like anybody else has any questions in the chat as far as the basic stuff. So we're going to move on to attunement next. So brace yourselves. We're going into light mode here. This is Burning Crusade Raid Attunement Chart 2nd Revision. In parentheses, yes, it really is this complicated. So let's try to figure this out here. Hopefully you guys can see it in the stream. Level 70. We're down here. Look bottom right. And it looks like you do a Karazhan quest line. And then that leads into Complete Architraz, Complete Steam Vaults, Complete Shadow Labyrinth. These are all dungeons. And then you obtain the Karazhan Key. Maybe we can start with... let's start with Crixio. Like, how is the Karazhan Attunement for you?
Easy. You're doing it. They're just normals. You do them anyway. So you have to go to each of these dungeons, and inside the dungeon, there's like this... What is it, Kael? Like this fucking container you open, and then an elemental comes out, and you got to kill that elemental and get the key.
Yeah, so first thing is, in order to even finish all 3 dungeons, one of them is Architraz, so flying is a must. Don't ever forget about to get flying, because you will need it for Tempest Keep Architraz. But yeah, for the most part, there's these little vials, urn type things you click on that open up and summon an arcane elemental that drops part of the fragment that you have to kill. It's like super easy to kill, but you'd have to clear the trash to get to it usually. Shadow Labs, it's all the way at the end. Architraz, it's a little of the ways in. Steam Vaults is like 6 or 7 trash packs, and then it's down inside the water. Like it's not too terribly bad.
What is the it you're referring to? It's I remember doing these. I've done the Karazhan Attunement myself. Like you have to get some item in there, right? You have to. I remember like
fragments.
Yeah, okay.
Key fragments.
Key fragments. Gotcha. So let's back up a little bit. I just dinged level 70. I literally am fresh out the freaking Blades Edge Mountains. Just dinged 70. How do I get started with the Karazhan Attunement?
Head to Deadwind Pass.
Yep. So right outside Karazhan, there's an NPC just standing right outside. I think he's there in Classic. Maybe he might not be there in Classic. I might be lying. But he has a exclamation point over his head, and you start the quest chain. Then, to my understanding, you have to do a couple quests like right there. You have to go inside the little, like basements and kill some ghosts and stuff. And then where do we go from there? So I guess you just explained that. But like, does he give you the quest to go directly into Arcatraz, Steam Vaults, and Labyrinth, or is this like progressive?
Arcatraz is the last part. So you'll have to do Shadow Labs, Steam Vaults first.
Okay. So he issues the quest to go to those places to get the key fragments from Shadow Labyrinth and Steam Vaults.
Yep.
Okay. Then you come back to him, you turn those in, he gives you a quest for Arcatraz.
Correct. And then after that, I think it's Black Morass. Pretty sure it's Black Morass.
That's not even on here under this chart. Black Morass is a Caverns of Time instance. Pretty cool. It basically like teleports you into the Swamp of Sorrows, and you're there, witnessing some.
It ties into the lore because that's where you get to see Medivh, who's the guardian, led all the horde through the portal, the dark portal. Excuse me. So it kind of ties in Medivh to Karazhan, and that's why they make you go there, lore wise.
Okay. So after you do Black Morass, is that about the end of it? Then you can go back to the NPC in front of Deadwin and redeem everything for the key?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we got through that pretty quick, but it's
just one of those things that, like, again, you can start tackling when you're 68. You'll see oodles of groups putting groups together to run it as a guild, like a very serious guild. You might bring Crix along and have him summon people right to the fragment, and then just rotate people in and out for that.
So, can you get started with this quest pre-70, or is the quest
68 is where you can start it.
Okay, great. And so these dungeons, by the way, guys, Shadow Labyrinth, Steam Vaults, and Arcatraz, these are like the final dungeons of that little area, So, I mean, what are the other ones for Shadow Labyrinth? That's like Sethic Halls and
Mana Tombs and Crypts.
And Crypts. And Shadow Labyrinth is kind of like the Omega one, right? And Steam Vault's the same with Slave Pens, Underbog, and the other one. So this stuff, you can't run. You think you could pull it off at 68 with a good group if you started early? Would you do that? Like, was that your play on a fresh?
No, I mean, I'd always hit 70 and then you're gonna do Shadow Labs anyways. There's a few quest items in there that are like really good for pre-raid.
Okay, do you have to be 70 to pick up the initial quest line?
68, he said.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's 68.
I'm pretty sure it's 68.
Yeah.
So if you were dungeon cleaving or something come TBC due to whatever circumstance, you could at 68, just work on this stuff together and crank it all out so that when you do ding 70, you could technically be 70.
That would probably be the best choice, yeah, if you're dungeon cleaving.
Yeah.
Just leave your group, you and your whole group just go out there because it's a pain in the ass.
Oh, no, wait, you can't though, right? Arcatraz. How the hell do you get up there?
Well, that you have to wait till 70 for there, unless you get summoned by a Warlock.
Okay.
Could they summon an original TBC? Could you summon in there?
Yeah.
Because on one of the servers.
So, if you're straight punching it though, right, and you need Arcatraz key, unless you have a rogue with lock picking, you will have to do the Arcatraz, key quest as well, which is running Botanica and Mechanar.
Oh, that's a good point.
I forget
I need keys.
Maybe a blacksmith skeleton key can open it. I haven't checked and did the math on that, or an engineer Sephorium charge, but regardless, doing that key is not a bad idea. Good loot, Mechanar, pretty good loot, and Botanica.
Okay, and these are just the normals. You don't have to do a heroic of any of this stuff. Okay, so this takes some time though, right? Like a lot of people think as soon as you hit 7, you can walk right into Karazhan. To get all this done, we're talking like maybe a day's worth of playtime just cranking through all this stuff to get it tuned. Unless you're...
Yeah, a day or... with a play group, 5 to 6 hours, give or take. If you're, whooping the dungeons.
Okay, great. So that's the Karazhan attunement. Any other thoughts, any tips, tricks when it comes to getting attuned on Kara? Can you guys think of anything?
I mean, I would recommend starting it as early as possible. So if you can start at 68, you start at 68. That would be like my personal.
Yeah, if it's the quest is a big choke point too. If you got 20, 30 people down there trying to kill Ghost, it's brutal. It is brutal.
Right, I'm sure that happens too. So what he's talking about is in Deadwind Pass, there's these basements. You walk down to like the cellar, and then you have to go kill these ghosts in a crypt, but could very well be a bottleneck. there as well. So okay, that's it as far as the attunement. So then you get attuned to Karazhan and attunement. Now we're gonna go into. We gotta tap into the mind of the master here. Consumables, raid composition, all this. There's probably a lot to go through here.
One more thing. The quest, once you get into Kara, just keep in mind the quest. There's quest to unlock the urn, which summons a boss called Nightbane. So your Karazhan quest technically continues into Karazhan, so don't ever forget about it. And it you have to go off the normal path to do some of the Kiana's log and things like that, where you have to go down rooms you normally don't go down, or clear trash that you normally don't clear to talk to people. So don't forget about that part.
To
be honest,
yeah, go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna go over comp and just say, to be honest, just bring 9 warlocks and a prop paladin.
That's what Crick should do for sure.
Just big dickhead,
The
man.
funny thing, could you do it? Could you do it? No way, you couldn't. There's no way. Yeah. I mean, that'd be funny though. Just lock stack. So another thing that comes to mind, guys, is raid gear requirements moving into Karazhan on fresh. Does this require much gear? Like, is there a prebis that you need to go obtain before you head into Karazhan, or something to that equivalency in TBC?
I'd say, honestly, like being brutally honest, your tanks. The more gear, like if your tanks are pre-raid, they're good to go. Healers usually can scoot by with less DPS. If they're hit capped.
Yeah, I was saying your DPS just need to be hit capped, or the closest hit capped as possible, both on melee and range.
Yep, that'd be about it.
Okay, like if you could make a comparison to Classic, I mean, Classic, there's quite a pre-bis grind in Classic, but on the same note, you look at like World First, and Apes goes in there with like greens and people in their 50s, right, and somehow cleared it out. So it could be a similar type of thing. You could technically clear it with really little, but the pre-bis grind. I mean, how do you feel about the pre-bis grind in TBC? Is it pretty substantial?
If you're wearing tier 3 gear, go in there the second you hit 70. You will crush it. 1000%.
I think.
Don't even worry about pre-raid. Just go in there and crush it. If fresh server is an option, again, like I couldn't stress, tanks being defense capped and having some consumables really makes it more smooth.
That's crazy, bro. Just tier 3, walk right in with tier 3 and slap
100%.
it. Slap
it.
I think people
You can wear phase 6
pre-bis.
That's kind of.
You can wear phase 6 bis gear into T5 and be fine.
100%. Like Bloodlust Brooch, which costs 41 badges of justice, is like 6 more attack power than Lotheb Shadow. 6 attack power. It's like, okay.
I was looking at some of the weapons too, like Wrestle's basically the same, not the same, but like close DPS to the Vindicator sword that you would get for grinding out the Scryer's Exalted. I mean, like, the gear levels in Next is just so high.
It is ridiculous, and we'll make it a joke.
Difference.
I don't know how I feel about that, man.
You'll have things that'll turn into expertise, like the tank sword from Nax is insane for warriors. On top of Thunder Fury, like whether we count legendaries or not, just some of the epics. I know for Shadow Priest, the Cthulhu Ring is like BIS for the start. It's 37 spell power. Or something ridiculous with hit rating, which it's insane.
Jesus. Okay, well that's good to know. I mean a
lot of the trinkets too. A lot of the trinkets are still fantastic. Plus, we don't know how the scaling is going to work with some of the trinkets too. So some of them might be like, honestly, like Diamond Flask. If Diamond Flask still fucking scales, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, people are speculating they might, fix it or address it in phase 6. We'll have to see, right?
They haven't yet. They haven't done any patch notes on it. So, like, it'll just be interesting to see how that carries over into just TBC.
I feel like the more and more I talk about stuff, like the more and more I feel like fresh is the play. Like how do you guys feel about that chat? Like, race to 70. As soon as you get to 70, like just walk right into Karazhan, just kill everything. Like tier 3.
It would definitely. I think it's a different experience depending on fresh or going in there.
Yeah, it'll be. I totally respect people that have spent thousands of hours on Classic. I do, but it wouldn't be the same experience as a fresh start.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So yeah, we talked about attunement. Let's so you talked about consumables, man. What about world buffs, raid buffs, consumables? I mean, you are literally the dude with that hat on. You have the captain's hat on. Like, what goes through your mind when it comes to prepping like a fresh raid for Karazhan on a new server or something like that?
So you got to be mindful of people's money, because money is really key. You can't be, you know, blowing a lot, but some, like supreme powers usually should be fairly cheap. You know, it is, some people who have just bought their flying mount might only have 120 gold. It does greatly help. Again, this leans, the more gear, the more consumes the tanks use. It's usually better for the most part. DPS really shouldn't be much of an issue, but again, like, you know, as like a prop paladin, I'm in there, I might do stam flask, even the cheap one, and then do spell power food, oil on my weapon, and then try to be careful with iron shield potions. Try to only use those on bosses. But you could use stone shield, the cheaper ones. They're totally fine too. Anything for damage mitigation. But again, it's all just kind of depends on what raid setup you're using.
I mean, so you always hear about this, right? Like, flasking is much cheaper in TBC. Is it an expectation that everybody's gonna, you know, show up the raid with flasks? And are there flasks that apply now in TBC to all, you know, to all classes of damage dealer, healer, and tank?
They're all flasks for everyone. Yep. So melee will get their actual, like, there is a DPS flask, and of course, like, if you're new on a server, flasking is better because if you die, it doesn't just go away, and which is nice. Tanks can, you know, generically use the stam one. I know bear druids might want to use agility and then elixir of major defense, but again, if you're dying or dying often, that gets very expensive.
Gotcha. One thing I noticed when I saw your bag is, we shared a screen one time, and I was looking at you. Your bag was chock full of vanilla consumes. I mean, like, it felt like there was more vanilla consumes than TBC consumes. Looking at it, like, I recognized a lot of the items in there.
Yep.
So yeah.
In Morose's room, there's these. I can't think of the names. They're like waiters, not waiters. Those are the skeletons.
They're the servants.
They're on the right and the left of the room. They do a stun, and it does ridiculous damage. Like,
the ushers.
They'll stun you, and you'll die in 2 seconds. You hit a free action potion, laugh it off, 100%. You don't get stunned. Pull multiple pulls, and if you pull it fast enough, you can probably kill both sets with one free action potion. I know on Illidari Council last week, main tank went down. I somehow got threat back, popped a swiftness potion, and I ran around for 10 seconds, killed the boss. There's those potions and consumables or oils of immolation are just extra AoE damage for our warlocks and mages to pump. You know, and of course it does a lot of damage when you have a lot of mobs, but it's just min-maxing for me.
So, like, I guess the point I'm trying to, I don't know if I should, if this is leading the passer or what. I mean, let me know if this isn't the case. You know, it very well couldn't be, but should be, like, some people in the chat right now might be thinking to themselves, okay, TBC's coming out, all the vanilla stuff is going to be outdated, you know, fuck it, I don't need to worry about that stuff anymore. There's going to be some superior TBC equivalent or something, like, all the stuff is going to be useless. Like, is that the case?
No, I mean, I use a lot of vanilla consumables, a lot.
Yeah, I don't think they redid like VAPs and lips and stuff like that, and they still work just as
lips.
well.
Yeah, lips they reduce melee damage by 120. Lips get butchered.
Okay, so it's just VAPs.
VAPs are good. Swiftness, invisibility potions.
Just because this is the perfect time to say this, Kael actually helped me last week with a video that lists almost all the important items from Classic that you can use in TBC.
Yep.
Linked below. Selfless plug.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, that was one thing that we were gonna say, guys. So as we get into the, we are so lucky, guys. We like, type something in the chat if you're excited, as I am. I don't know, man. Like this is so legendary. Prix is an author, co-author with a comprehensive Karazhan guide. Like this is the written format of it. We can use this as a syllabus going into these boss fights. So like literally, just like we're in some kind of man-child course or something, whatever. Like we can all just look at this together, like it's a course and go through all the bosses when the time comes. So look at everybody flooding into the document you made, Crix, man. You love to see it. It's beautifully done. I love it. Wow, look how many people are in there. That's so cool. Okay. Where were we? So we talked about consumables, attunement. What about raid comp? Start there. Any thoughts?
I got a lot of thoughts.
Here we go.
Buckle up.
Buckle up for the thoughts. I'm ready.
The majority of what takes Karazhan the longest is trash. On the outside, like you're looking at this picture in the middle of the screen, Karazhan looks like a tower. Inside, Karazhan is massive. It is very, 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 very big. It is honestly crazy how big it actually is. So you have a lot of trash to get through. So of course, it's like bringing Prot Paladin will make your run 75% smoother. Can you do it without a Prot Paladin? Absolutely. DPS just really has to pay attention. You know, bears are only going to be able to do reflect damage plus swipe, and warriors same thing. They're just, it'll be a lot of like marking skull X square and killing them in that order. Whereas a Prot Paladin, roll your face on your keyboard, keep consecrate down, taunt when you can, and let her rip.
I'm kind of inferring that there's one tank then, or is there two tanks in a Karazhan group based on what you're saying?
Yeah, you'll always want to start with two tanks. When you get later in the game and very experienced with things, you can solo tank even fights like Netherspite, or do a Prot Pally on Nightbane who doesn't have a fear immunity. You can absolutely get away with one tank, but
okay.
out the door, you know, a Prot Pally and a Bear Druid, or a Prot Pally and a Prot Warrior is always a really good start. You know, you'll have gear fighting over plate gear if you bring double plate tanks. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to know what a Pally item is versus what a Prot Warrior item is. But I mean that's later for some other things. But try to be respectful when coming on when those items drop, and knowing what's better for you or what's better for a Prot Warrior.
Gotcha. Okay,
As for the rest of the comp, 2 healers. If it's an experienced run, people have been there before, bring 2 healers, especially if those 2 healers have ran it. If you want to play it safe, which, again, adding a 3rd healer is not terribly bad. It makes it more safe, which is good. It just generically slows it down more.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, you can't really get more reckless. Like, I'll get more reckless with more DPS because the pack will die quicker. I only have to survive for a little while versus, you know, 30-40 seconds.
Okay, as far as the healing core, though, to me, there's not much of a core if there's like 2, but, you know, like, what is your thought process on that? Like, is there a healer that sticks out in a raid environment as the best tank healer, you know, the best raid healer? Generally speaking, there's probably a ton of, you know,
I'll keep it generic, like, I'll keep it to Karazhan to make this more Karazhan related. Nothing will beat a priest in Karazhan. They bring CC, Shackle Undead, good AoE heals when needed. You know, if you have any type of druid, can pop them and innervate. It's great. Just all around, they're the most versatile healer for Karazhan.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. You said a holy priest, right, or not a disc priest?
Yeah, right? I would. It doesn't matter either or, but of course, COH. Early on, if they're popping off too many COHs, they might go depending on gear, because it's pretty mana intensive. But having that quick snap heal the raid up, a COH priest is the play.
A COH priest, okay, gotcha. So far it's looking like I'll just whip up a new slide here. So raid comp, it's looking like this is the dream team of Kael. I'm gonna call it Kael's dream Kara dream team. We have a Prot Pally, and you said a Druid is the tanks, right?
Yeah, I guess a Druid tank is... Again, a Druid tank is nice for splitting gear, but again, something like Nightbane early on is just going to be a little tricky. But it's definitely doable.
Then healers, one is, like you said, Priest is just nothing stopping it in Karazhan for the CC.
Do Shadow Priests get Fear Ward too, or is it just Healing Priests?
Do Shadow Priests get what?
Do Heal Ward. Or Fear Ward.
Yeah. Every priest in TBC has Fear Ward.
Okay.
Broken.
So then you could do a rotation of like a Holy Priest and a Shadow Priest.
Tremor Totems are pretty reliable too. You just gotta get Because with every fear comes a breath. So as long as the tank can get back in range of not breathing the raid, like even in our tier 6 geared group, breathing the raid it's very stressful on healers. It really turns the damage up.
Gotcha.
It's a long dot.
So in your dream team, are you running 2 healers or 3?
I'm running 2.
2. Okay, priest. And what's the second one?
It literally, I would say anything. Holy paladins early on aren't the flavor. They're nice for buffs, but ideally I'm rolling with a resto shaman.
Resto shaman. Okay. Yeah, I don't know much, if anything, at all about like how good a resto shaman is in TBC. Like I know literally zero.
Only one thing matters.
Earth shield? Are you gonna say? I mean, I don't know, man.
Whatever the chain heal totem that gives me 101 spell power. That's all that matters.
I mean they got wrath. Totem of Wrath, Wind Fury for the tank group, Agility for the hunters, Mana Tide to swap all your healers into for a quick drink.
But all that stuff is just generic shaman.
Baby! Yeah.
That's all generic shaman, though, right? That's not necessarily resto, but I guess that is a consideration.
Resto brings Mana Tide, but yeah, even a Resto shaman can drop. They're the support. They're the good part about Resto shaman priest combo is they both bring the armor buff, which is really nice early on. Getting armor is very... It mitigates a substantial amount of damage.
Is Earth Shield, like, at all decent? Just throw it on the tank and, is it efficient healing and all that?
It is. Oh, yeah, it's very efficient.
Okay.
We have Chain Heal, too. Chain Heal is also, like, one of the most mana-efficient heals.
Yo, don't they get something else juicy? Resto Shamans in TBC? I feel like we're missing something here. Let me look at the talents. Like, what's the final talent for...
That's it.
That's it?
They can onk. They can onk. They've got white protection. They've got...
that rock, dude, in case shit goes bad.
Yeah.
All
Rocky boy.
Rock, dude.
Is another reason why... Like, so you're going to run probably multiple shamans, though, right? Or is this just the only one shaman?
Yep, so the other shaman would be an elemental shaman. I don't really like to play with melee early on, and you'll see my perfect group might not even run one.
So, guys, there's no sated debuff in TBC. So, like, the more I'm thinking about this, too, like, is this... As the raid leader, you're just trying to sneak as many bloodlusts in here as you can? Is that a consideration?
You substitute lust with the jumped up battle.
Can you, though? Can you really, though? It's only like 5%, right?
Yeah, 80 haste. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, we got the tanks down and the healers down. Now it's on to the DPS. We got a few slots remaining here.
I mean, I'll be generically nice. You'll always want a hunter.
Just one?
So, yeah, I mean, generically.
Okay.
Hunter, Ellie, Warlock, Mage, Shadow Priest.
Ellie? There's an Ellie? Alright. And Shadow Priest?
Yo. Better be a Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest is just nice. Again, it would make Nightbane a lot easier for the healers. If no Shadow Priest, bring another Warlock. If no Warlock, bring another Hunter.
Yo, Shaman seems kind of sick in TBC, man. The more and more I learn about it.
Shamans are really, really, really good.
Right? Just like across the board. It's really good, huh? Alright.
I mean, they bring I don't even want, basically.
They're broke, man. They get stronger. They're not weak in tier 4. I say that with like a little... Yes, they're not the strongest healer, but they're never the weakest, honestly. And then as they get T5, they're okay. Tier 6, they're right to the top. Nothing beats them.
Okay. So a part of me feels weird about this though, dude. Like, 'cause I mean, I'm a classic Andy, Like I think about like class stacking and optimizing towards one type of damage, whether that be physical or magical. Is that just not a thing in TBC? Like a part of me just thinks, is there some comp here that runs like 4 hunters?
Yeah, maybe in 25-man. In 10-man, no. You ideally, again, when I started this conversation off with, you want to balance the group, right? Hunters don't want tier 4. Warlocks do. Mages... Now, Hunter, Mages, and Warlocks all share tier in tier 4. So, your Warlocks will want... If they don't have...
Curator.
Yeah, they'll want gloves. Helm, sure, if they don't have Spell Strike. They want their 2-piece, no matter how they can get it. They'll automatically want it.
That makes so much sense. So, then that's a very real consideration in Classic too. Just the distribution of gear. Like, if you just run a bunch of warriors or hunters, how in the hell are you going to distribute the gear? Like, it's going to take forever, right? And it might just feels so bad, man. No one's getting gear because there's so little of it that applies.
In Get Carried, we handcuff tier gear. So what I mean by that is if you get your tier gloves and your 2-piece is really good, you'll automatically get your next piece. We do that just to make it more simple. It's better to have one person with 2-piece than to have 6 people with 1 piece.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're missing 2 slots here, unless you just run with 8 because or is there what would you add for?
Oh, you forgot mage.
Warlocks.
Yep. Oh, mage. Yeah, you get that food. You gotta need that smorgasbord food table, right? Hell yeah.
And the scorch.
You bring the one deep melee DPS to soak up all the loot that no one else wants.
Pretty much. So I like after this, you literally can bring a melee, a rogue, sure, for expose / not wasting loot.
What if you're competing at the BlizzCon World Championships, Kael, and you had to actually have the ultimate dream team to push content as fast as possible? Would you even run a melee?
I would run 1 Shadow Priest, 3 Warlocks, Ellie Shaman. Like, I would just bring Warlocks.
You would just bring Warlocks?
I'd just bring Warlocks to Karazhan. Like, honestly.
Because
like,
we're broken.
Hunters will beat the boss down quicker, but trash. Like, you literally...
The seeds?
All I'm looking at is trash. Like, I don't
they do say trash is the
boss.
hardest boss, right? That's the biggest boss, in all raids.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, but that's the BlizzCon Championship. So if you're just gonna bring 1 melee Andy over here, so it's gonna be like Rogue Andy,
or
Ret Andy, or Warrior Andy.
It doesn't matter. That last spot ideally is another caster, but you can bring as a guild though, you're gonna bring a melee.
Okay.
Just to be nice.
So that makes 10. That makes 10. Okay, so let's see here. So again, why does Shadow Priest this seems like the odd one out? Shadow Priest and Elemental, because some people they think the classic and they're like, this is not making sense to me. Why is there an Elemental here? Why is there a Shadow? What changes in TBC? Does anything stick out?
Yep. The Elemental's there to buff the casters, make them do more damage.
They have Wrath Totem, right? Wrath Totem, isn't that it? Let me see.
Yep, it gives them 3% hit, 3% crit.
And Wrath of Air.
Yep, Wrath of Air. The Lust is the biggest one to it, because the Resto Shaman can drop everything except the hit totem.
Oh yeah, Totem of Wrath, yeah. 3% crit? Wait. Hit and crit 3%. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's broken.
And if they're a cow, or a goat, then they'll drop the goat will bring the extra 1%. And they don't wear shoes. Hey.
Yeah.
Look at them feet.
But how do they do damage-wise themselves? Like, are they okay? Elemental?
Early on, they're chugging a lot of mana potions. They're going through mana pots. The Shadow Priest is there to really help the Elemental Shaman, and then the Shadow Invulnerability buff is nice for the Warlock to pump. Like a good Shadow Priest on trash is just tabbing Shadow Word Pain, making the mobs take 5% more magic damage and Shadow Invulnerability. So Warlock's doing even more AoE plus the Mage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you talk about the mana battery thing too, right?
The Mage is there for food and water. Damn. The Warlock will be the all-star in AoE regardless because they have infinite mana.
Is this mage running fire or arcane? People hear about this arcane mage shenanigans going on.
You'll see fire or frost out the door.
Okay, fire or frost.
Arcane comes in tier 5 when they get their 2-piece.
I mean, it could also be arcane.
They could. They need a lot of sockets. So, like, a T4 arcane mage just needs a lot of sockets to gem a lot of intellect. And I don't play a mage, but that would be the assumption. It would need to be self-sustaining, enough intellect.
Well, and the only reason that arcane mage is being talked about is with TBC Classic, be how easy it is and how you can rush to T5 to get the gear and give the mages a T5 set, and then they can pump. But they're typically fire.
That's like one thing. Like I'm struggling to what am I gonna want to do? Because usually on a private server, we're giving hunters their 4-piece first. Usually, now if we can't clear Kael Thos or Lady Vash in the first reset, then sure, maybe you lean towards the mage. But again, I don't know. Arcane Mages might be the play come TBC Classic because the fights will be so short.
Really, Arcane Mage is interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about the group composition too. So there's 10 people here with their range them into 2 groups. There's a bunch of considerations here whether you're aligned. I feel like if you're Horde, it's more straightforward because you don't have Draenei, ratios to manipulate, and I don't know. Does anything? I mean, you guys play Alliance or Horde? No, and get carried.
We're currently Alliance because of the server had Alliance buffs. We're going Horde soon.
Okay. So break it down for me. How would you arrange Group 1 and Group 2?
So kind of, I put physical damage in one group, I put magical damage in the next. So as much as the prop pally would like to be in the spell power group, you'll go in the tank group. So you'll have prop pally, feral druid, hunter, one of your healers, which will probably be your resto shaman. Honestly, it'd be your second healer too. So and then the melee.
Then the rogue Andy, okay. And
if you're really under geared and you need the mana, then you swap, probably the mage or the Ellie shaman into group 1 and put both healers into group 2 for the shadow priest.
And ideally, wouldn't you want some kind of Draenei in here for the melee hit? Either a Draenei hunter. Like, would this hunter be survival? Is that weird?
No, they'll be BM. Okay. Even if you're a main spec survival hunter throughout the raid, when Zul'Aman comes out, you might spec BM. Again, not having dual spec would suck, but it's not going to be a big deal if the content is easy as it is.
If you had a warrior instead of a feral druid, you just have a shaman for totems for Wind Fury.
Yep.
Okay. So
Agi will benefit the feral tank more.
Oh, that's true. So yeah, you probably just have a shaman as the 4th slot anyway, or the 5th slot anyway.
And 77 agility is pretty high. Where rogues, I don't know. It's not a crazy DPS loss for rogues. Wind Fury versus an extra poison. So again, you could just drop Agi Totem for either tank. Yeah. But if you do have a warrior, absolutely drop the Wind Fury. Helps them with threat.
No, interesting. So I see why you have 2 shamans too. It's so important actually, because the resto goes in the melee group, and then the elemental, since it's buffing casters, goes in the caster group.
Yep.
And the resto shaman will, I guess it doesn't provide any of the Draenei ratio, but that's fine. So he's dropping Wind Fury like you said, and buffing this. Then okay, it's all coming together, man.
So if you have, let's say you have a Draenei hunter, let's say this is an alliance setup, and you have a Draenei shaman in the group, you have to, in order to dictate which hit, right, because shamans give spell hit, Draenei hunter would give physical hit.
Mm-hmm.
You pull the resto shaman out of the group and then put them back in, and then that'll make the physical hit stick before the spell hit. If that makes sense.
It's like layers of an onion. So it's whatever one has their... Yo, that's so
whichever one was in the group
monstrous,
first
man.
gives the buff.
Oh my
basically
god.
like totem boosting.
Type something in the chat if you're learning, like if you're absorbing, if you're just straight sponge mode right now. This is so juicy, guys. I'm proud of all of us, dude. This is awesome.
Super nerdy,
This is great. So it's whatever Draenei was there first gets the precedent buff or whatever you want to call it.
It's not just generically 1% hit for everyone. It's class related. Paladins, hunters, and warriors give the hit, and the priest, the shaman, and whatever else it is give the spell hit.
Yeah, it's so it's shaman, mage, priest.
Yeah, give spell hit.
Okay, and then hunter.
Paladin,
what they deal with if they're physical damage, it's the physical one.
As a prop paladin, I'm doing spell damage. How dare you?
Oh, that's true.
How dare you?
Okay, well we figured it out, yo. This is sick. All right, so this is the comp right here. Group 1, Group 2. It's weird. Okay, it's weird having 2 priests in the same group. No, priest buddies.
It's selfish if your guild doesn't have enough priests. So if your one group has 2 priests and the other group doesn't, split them up. The buff is nice. The shackles are nice. Again, this is all that'll play into what your guild has going for you.
Okay. Gotcha too. So, like, let's take a look at this composition right here, and let's take a look through the eyes of our panelists here. So we have Dustbone, who's a rogue. Let's imagine this rogue Andy right here is Dustbone. That's what I always associate with.
He is loving life.
Oh, I'm so happy I got accepted into anything.
All right, go on. Go on.
I'm kissing ass like you couldn't believe.
He's showing up early, man. He's got this.
I got buffs. I got flasks. Let's go.
Let's go. So you're just excited to soak up all the gear. Like, what goes through your mind here? You're about to saddle up for a Kara raid right now with this raid. Dust.
I have as many faps and sprint pods as possible because all you do as melee in Karazhan is run around.
All you do is run around?
That's so true.
Okay.
Everything in this instance wants to kill you.
Every 2 minutes they can pop Blade Flurry and look. They can see themselves on the meter.
That's about it. You're not wrong. We stun things.
like they're like on a trash. On a trash,
it's
like
not wrong.
it's so funny.
It might be kind of good quality of life though if you're expected to be dog shit. You're just at the bottom and you're just kind of like chilling, watching some Netflix.
You play more support role, so it's like kind of like in a 5-man. You're not going to try to do the damage because your role is not to do damage. Your role is to like crowd control, peel off in case like if a healer gets aggro on like one of the big trash packs before Maiden, like you can go and gouge, stun them off. Like your role is to support. You're not a damage dealer. You're not going to pump.
So, for whatever purpose, I mean, like, how would you expect the damage meter to look? You know, some people care about that. I mean, everybody cares about that a little bit. Be honest. You know, like, what is it going to look like?
I'll tell you how it looks.
Like a rogue on that would like if the fight's long enough to where the Ellie Shaman and the Shadow Priest go sure the rogue will eventually beat them.
Mm-hmm.
But if the fights are as short as they're going to be, and they're some fights are cleave and just some are better with cooldowns. Like your rogues on Curator can probably do pretty well with Adrenaline Rush. You know, they'll do all right. It's just again, man, like when you ask me what the ideal comp is, my goal is to get through trash. So if a rogue can't pitch in on trash, they literally are just like, oh, they're cool on some fights, and the rest it's yeah.
Well, what about a warrior? Would a warrior do good on trash? If they're like arms warrior with
DPS warrior,
yeah,
no,
they're probably worse than rogue. Or they might be on the same level because, like, Swooping Strike, Whirlwind, Cleave.
Sure, but threat might be more of an issue for them because a big Sweeping Strikes, you know, because Warlock's AoE is reduced, right? Like, so if I pull 30 mobs, I know the Warlocks aren't going to hit each mob for 1,000. You know, it might be 600-700, whereas a Sweeping Strikes can hit them for 2,500, 3K. You know, they might have threat issues. But for the most part, no. I'd have a rogue over a warrior.
Okay. Good to know. We got a lot, like, you know, high-profile peeps in the chat. Yo, shout out to everybody watching right now. Do Lincoln Craig. That's Stay Safe. Code GM Zeger's in the chat. Yo, good to see everybody here. Chicken Basket. I hope you guys are learning something.
Yo, Leonex, get some revs. I see you in there. My boys was headed.
All right, Crix, brother. My brother. Oh, no more banana. No more banana. So, Crix, as a warlock, what's going through your mind, man? Like, you're about to saddle up, do this Karazhan raid, fresh raid. You know, you're looking at this is the comp. You know, are you salty the rogues here at all? Like, what are you feeling?
No, I am probably going to pull threat from and die 3 times from seeding trash.
Okay.
And once I figure that out, we're pumping, man.
I got you, bro. You know that.
You think you think you'd be at the top of the?
Kael probably has a macro for me just to snap the aggro back at this point.
Yeah, you on cooldown.
Yeah.
So you
think it's a whole lot of seed, man. It's seeding trash. You have 2 buttons you get to press when you're in Karazhan. You press seed or you press Shadow Bolt, and that's pretty much all Warlock does in there, man.
So you think Warlock is going to be number 1 DPS in this?
Yes. Hunter probably. Me and the Hunter. Well, no. Let me correct this. So on
overall DPS, you factor in the trash and everything, though.
Overall, yeah, Warlock by a mile.
By a mile, okay. Like
we don't do overall though. We do boss. It's boss to boss, and if it's boss to boss, I would say it would go Hunter Warlock Mage.
Oh, I thought the big brain way to look at the big brain way to look at the raids was overall damage, isn't it?
No, what? No, I mean, I guess I don't know.
I do because I'm usually 2nd or 3rd as a prop paladin. It's great.
I care about boss. I mean, it's bosses.
Yeah, true. I
if
guess
you're progging Karazhan, I give a fuck about being top 3 damage.
That's what parses are on, all the sites anyway. Their bosses, not really trash.
But I mean, the bosses, it would look like a Hunter, and then the me, and then the Mage. If the Mage is fire with Spellfire and he's pumping.
Can you bop a Warlock, Kael, and they go just ham? They just go ham, egg, and cheese?
Yeah, till it wears off.
And then they get Then they
and then if you can taunt, great. But if you can't, and they don't shatter, it's over. They die.
Yeah, usually I know that I'm pulling. I get my alert that I'm pulling, and I know he'll snap back one time, and then I have to shatter the second time, and then I literally have to stop, or there's no third time. It's gonna be me dying.
Or your boy will be talking to his stream, pull threat, then die.
Yo, Lincoln Craig is asking, is this early Kara pre-T4 gear? I don't even know what that means, to be honest.
Is what?
Is this early Kara pre-T4 gear? What does that mean? Pre-T4 gear? Was there a Kara? I guess.
Oh, with the damage. Yeah, let's assume it's Prebus. Yeah, if we're assuming it's equal gear, like we're all equal gear in Prebus. Yeah.
I'm saying, was there a Kara that didn't have tier 4, like in Progress, some kind of weird, and like the way itemization was really rolled out or something, or? Okay.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think
if you wouldn't have Kara, no, that'd be really, really weird.
Oh, what gear you're going in? This is like fresh. We're assuming it's kind of fresh.
Yeah, let's go with
Kara gear helps you with heroics. Like, there are some heroics that are much harder than Karazhan.
He was saying though, Craig, that if you can go in here with tier 3 and slap the shit out of Karazhan with tier 3 with your group.
Oh yeah,
1000%.
Clap. Full clap.
Clap.
And then you won't even replace some of that T3 in there anyway. Most of the time, you'll be all right for a while.
So it's like Warlock and Hunter battling it out for like first and second place on the meters. Then the Ellie and the Shadow.
No. Don't sleep on the Fire Mage. I've witnessed a Fire Mage in full Spellfire actually like kitted the way he's supposed to be, and he was racing me and racing the Hunter.
In Kara.
So don't ever put a mage underneath the fucking shaman again.
Damn.
They gotta spend some money, but mages can do really well early on.
That's pretty sick, actually. So you know how people always think? I actually never asked you this, Kael. You know how people always think that Warlock and Hunter are the best DPS classes in TBC. I mean, there's a lot of truth in it, but what would you say is the number 3 spot, like all things considered? It's a gross generalization. Take it with a grain of salt. But like, does any other class stick out? Is it mage?
I think it's probably mage.
It's mage, baby.
Yeah, it's mage or Fury Warrior. Like even like
Fury
tier 5.
Warrior?
Yeah,
Holy
like tier 5 Fury Warriors. They're really good. It's just you have to give them the group they need. Just like a mage, right? Like, oh yeah, an arcane mage, they're great. Yeah, in Get Carried, we were giving our arcane mages double Shadow Priest, Resto Shaman, and getting they'd cry for innervates. You baby those mages, and sure, yeah, they'll do 4k DPS on pull. Like, yeah, that's cool. There's bosses in Karazhan that have 0 armor. No matter how much gear or innervates you feed a mage, nothing's gonna beat a hunter on the 0 armor boss.
Mm-hmm. But like a lot of people kind of shit on mages. They think they're not that strong at TBC. So you think like a really good mage can be up there like throughout all of the raids,
bro? Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, if they transition into tier 5 arcane, yeah. Late again, if it's just like in Black Temple, like that T6 area before they get to Sunwell, they have like a little dry spell. Personally, I think I'm not the mage god, but they get 4-piece T6. They may run that. They still may stay arcane. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see arcane all the way to the end.
Oh, somebody asked about Boomkin. Is Boomkin ever on your mind or no?
Boomkin is, you need to put the most selfless player on a Boomkin. They are support role. They're going to get 4-piece tier 5 and pretty much never replace it. They'll run 4-piece tier 5 forever. It's one of the strongest tier 5 bonuses. Yep.
Yeah. What is it?
Gives them 10% damage pretty much when they have Moonfire and Insect Swarm. Everything else does 10% damage, which that's a lot of damage.
Shout out to Barrow.
So Barrow, our Boomkin, has played Boomkin for us multiple times. He's a trooper. I told him if he plays Boomkin on a TBC Classic, I'll give him the first Skull of Gul'dan to a Boomkin. I told him I'd do it.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so I think this is pretty damn comprehensive as far as raid comp. I mean, this is all you need right here, folks. Just go look at this when the time comes,
The good part about this list, though, it's a generic mix of classes. Like, you literally can bring, 2 Warlocks is great. If you're bringing 2 Warlocks, please bring a Prop Pally. Otherwise, it's going to be just a little rough. You can bring
a prop out anyway with the trash.
You always want to bring a prop alley if you can. But of course, if you bring more hunters or a rogue and a fury warrior, you might even see feral druids. Feral druids pump too. That power shifting early on is pretty strong.
Is it?
Threat's their issue early on. Ferals do dumb threat.
Yeah, man, they probably don't have a threat dump, right? What the hell does a druid have for threat dump? Nothing, right?
They go bear.
Oh.
They eat damage.
Damn. Interesting. Okay, man, we're getting through a lot of good shit. I think it's time for the meat and potatoes. You guys ready for, is there a meat and potatoes emote? The time has come, guys. We're about to get into the boss fights. The boss fight deep dive. Type in the chat for that. Here we go, boys. First boss of Karazhan. Atumen the Huntsman. We're going to break it down by positioning, noteworthy mechanics, threat, loot, and, like, you know, if you guys can think of anything else in the chat, a good thing to look at the boss through, a good lens to look at the boss through. Definitely shout it out in the chat. But let's start off with Atumen. Maybe Crix, is this a fight? First boss?
No, really easy fight. 2 phases, pretty simple. Smack him, you fight him, and then you smack it, or fight the horse, you smack it down, then you fight him. Easy. That's a simple way to do it, you know?
Alright, what's the mechanic in phase 2?
He charges. Oh, he's testing me. Fuck. He's gonna sit me now. He charges. I just know to charge, and I'm moving for the charge.
Who does he charge?
Furthest away.
There you go. Don't
Let's go,
baby! Don't
Hell
put a
yeah.
Clothy the furthest away.
Oh, that's crazy. So if you're the furthest away, you just get one-shotted if he charges you? So
If you're a
somebody can mess
Clothy, it might not one-shot you, but it's gonna hurt.
up. Okay.
Like male gear and up. Or a Boomkin. Boomkin has dumb armor. Put the Boomkin out there.
So you can control it, like you'll find like a good target to get charged and be like, yo, stand the farthest out, and they get charged.
Yeah, you want the raid to choke up and get closer to the boss.
So there's one thing very special about this boss, though. He may not be the hardest boss, but what is it, chat? What is it? Come on. You know what it is. I never got it.
Mount.
Yeah, man, there's a mount. So I swear to God, I saw the mount on my first ever Karazhan I ever did back in TBC. First ever one, it dropped, and then I never saw it again.
I got the mount on retail and like mop or something like that. Right? Not
It
mop,
dropped.
Yeah.
It drops a scope pattern for Linux, and Linux doesn't get it.
So, yo, the
It
mount
drops best slot gloves for me.
the mount that drops, I don't know if you can see the stream, but it looks like this. It looks like the horse that he's riding on, pretty much.
I think it looks like for the people that play retail, it looks like the Halloween.
It's his midnight. It's like a horse with chain link on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. Okay, so it sounds pretty tank and spank. There's 2 phases. Nothing other than that worth considering. Do you tank him in any kind of special way, or is it just just falls over?
Yeah, you'll want a bloodlust phase 2 of the fight when he comes together. Again, watch your threat. There is some curses that go out. If the curses get put on the hunters, you'll want to decurse it. It reduces their chance to hit. And Attunement isn't the first boss, by the way.
Oh, really? What? What am I missing?
Animal bosses. Right in the
Oh.
door to the right.
Animal bosses. Okay, yeah, we should go over that. Like, what even is that, man? There's a bunch of them. There's all this kind of gear. Break that down for us.
I'll break it down to you. There is one. There's usually only a few reasons why you want to run animal bosses. Is technically, and you can see on the photo there, you can see the dog, the spider. I don't know if the bat's in there, but
Yeah, bats here, top right.
Oh yeah,
Shadiki or something.
So they drop random loot, like random rolled loot. So if you're like a shadow priest and you go in there and they drop cloth bracers of shadow power, I think it's 44 spell power.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. Best in slot. Like,
is it epic?
Forever. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure those bracers are BIS all expansion long.
Damn,
they are
dude. What the
dumb.
hell?
So there's like male ones. So if your survival hunter gets the male ones of agility, it's again, a hunter could get leather of the agility too. It doesn't really matter, but it's just insane. I know the boots are like 72 spell power. 72.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. So that means you're gonna be running Kara like the whole expansion. You're never gonna be
So
skipping it.
the problem again with those bosses is how lucky do you feel? Trash wise, the spiders do a huge AoE poison, so you'll want cleansing totems, hence 2 shamans makes it really easy. Boss mechanics wise, they're literally tank and spank. They're like a mob. Like the dog does a fear, the spider does a poison, the bat does a silence. Like just normal bat, spider, dog, or demon things. Nothing.
So the chances of getting
special.
the thing you want is like super small because you have to roll against like 50 different outcomes of what it could roll into the gear wise.
But if you were to bank it, it would just be like lottery style happiness.
Okay. Yeah, another thing I was going to ask is, do you think Karazhan is going to be something that's easily puggable, or is there stuff in here that gets a little bit tricky and will hang people up?
9 out of 11 is puggable, but if it's going to be super easy, then I would assume all of them it's killable.
Okay.
The two dragons. If your pug group doesn't have an urn, you can't do Nightbane. And Nether Spite, if you don't have good communication, Nether Spite's a wipe fest.
Okay, it's a wipe fest. Okay, yeah, we'll be getting into that. Okay, sick. So they're just like, basically, they're just like regular mobs. They drop anything on a huge loot table. You have to get super lucky. Gotcha. Atumen the Huntsman, we did that one. Alright, next up, Moros. And by the way, here, let me link Crix's guide. Guys, follow along with us in the chat, guys. We have a syllabus. We're very professional here. Guide made by Crix Gaming. You want to follow on with the bosses. It has a little bit more in-depth guide right there. Anything stick out to you with Moros, guys?
Does anybody else want to talk?
No, go ahead, Carol. This one's you. We're group all up and seed them down.
Dusty, you feel a certain way about Moros?
Moros is
control the ads. I mean, I feel like Crix. I think that Classic's gonna be a lot easier, or Classic TBC, and we're just gonna group up and kill them. Maybe you have to separate the warrior because the 200 warrior pumps, but the rest of them really pose no threat.
Okay. I always look at Moros as the first ever council style fight that I don't know if there's one in vanilla. I can't.
Like the Illidari Council. So this food, I'm trying to visualize it. You like
just kind of.
You go up the ramp and there's like a big banquet hall with food everywhere, and you have to kill him with a bunch of ads around him.
We gotta clear the ads, yeah.
So you gotta clear the whole room. The room before and the room that he's in. Sometimes the trash can be tied to the boss, but you'll ideally want to clear the whole room before him.
Okay. Looks pretty cool. Got his double daggers right there. Any noteworthy mechanics with this guy?
Yep, so he puts every 45 seconds or so he'll vanish and then put the rogue bleed on one random player. And this bleed lasts the entire fight. So eventually if you have 3 or 4 people with it, it becomes pretty taxing on your healers. Now, you can use immunities to break it. You can bubble it, you can
Lufa?
It probably could, honestly.
That's funny, man.
If it doesn't resist above level whatever.
Yeah.
But paladins can bop players. High armor players, like a tank, probably just keep it on. If it's on the tank, that's the best case scenario because it breaks one of his other abilities. It'll gouge his main target and go to his second threat. So if the main target is gouged but has the bleed, perfect. Goes right back. You know, the second the bleed ticks, your gouge breaks, and then he comes back to you. Prop paladin tanking this fight. Here's a tip and trick. You can put blessing of sacrifice on somebody, like your second threat. You get gouged, they get hit, you take damage from it. Now it's broke, and now you can continue tanking.
Big, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Paladins are, and it's an undead target, so paladins are already doing really good threat to undead because of exorcism.
Very, very cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So when I tank it, I have my hunters misdirect my off tank to Moros, and I only tell my off tank, dump all your threat into Moros. I'll still pass you, and I'll tank everything else too.
Do you pull with Holy Wrath?
I do. I walk up to the bottom of the steps in Holy Wrath.
Sick, dude. Yeah.
I've never been on a server where they aggro from far away, so usually you can get at least hit him and 3 of the other ones.
That's
but if you can hit them,
sick
Even
high
on
tempo
live,
opener.
when TBC was normal, you had to be like on the stairs to pull them off. Like you had to be really, really close.
they have that like they have a very low aggro range because trash in that room. Like if you were to do like a turn evil or turn undead, you can kind of use CCs and not have to worry about pulling the boss. He does reset too, so God forbid you do pull him, you can run back and down the stairs.
Okay. The other thing too about TBC is the stakes aren't so high when you wipe, right? Because there's not world buffs you have to preserve and shit like that. Like people would probably get upset, but it's not, the end of the world. Like there are people who freaking G quit over world buffs. So it's probably not that big of a deal, right? If you wipe.
No.
Okay.
No. And wiping on, especially on Morose, is a 10-second run back. He's right in the door technically.
You'll wipe in here. I think even
You
if it's easy, people are gonna wipe in here.
Yeah. What kills him? Is it just the tank gets gouged and it just running around like a chicken with its head cut off?
Yeah, people not it's watching their threat meter. If the off tank isn't second, somebody's gonna die, unless if that person is very aware and can like kite for a little bit until the paladin or the main tank gets broken out, then sure he'll survive. But if he's standing anywhere close and not paying attention, yeah, he'll just run around and start killing people.
Okay. And
The gouge is 4 seconds, but in
that's
that
long,
time,
dude. Wow.
in that time, yeah, he can run over and just one tap 2-3 people, and it's just gonna make the fight very long.
I see. Okay. Any decent loot or nothing much?
Yep, insane loot off this. The rogue that is running along and collecting free loot has really good boots off this boss. An insane tank trinket, Morose's Lucky Pocket Watch, is an S tier tank trinket early on. It's insane.
What does it do again?
It gives you a static 2% dodge, and then gives you 15% or 16% dodge on use.
Very nice.
Which dodge is a really very strong stat.
And then you also have the Mongoose enchant.
Yep,
which is
and he drops
hunters,
Mongoose.
Right? Does it proc for hunters?
Nope, they use 20 agility.
Yo, so so until this guy's killed a bunch of times, maybe for a little bit, there's gonna be no Mongoose. You have to use Crusader. Yeah.
That's why Crusader's worth some money.
Now, does it sometimes take a while, like before the server has Mongoose? Like on a fresh, you think, or is it
kind of like how Classic is? You know how there's that one guild that gets Crusader or whatever, then everybody's trying to go to that one guild to get it.
Yeah, like Lionheart Helm and all that. It's just kind of like one guild gets it. Okay, let's move on. So next up is Maiden of Virtue. This is the big stone giant looking boss. Looks kind of like at Ulduar, look at Uldaman. They have that kind of dwarven Titans looking type of boss. What about this one? Anything positioning, mechanics?
She just is annoying.
She's annoying.
Tanker in the middle. And
she's annoying because DBMs don't work. There's always broken DBMs on every private server. Her repentance, it's a repentance and incapacitate, and the only way to break it is to be standing on her consecrate. She does like Ret Paladin abilities. So all of her damage is holy. She does a holy fire. She does consecrate, repentance. Very easy fight. If you can kick holy fire, great. I don't know if TBC Classic will allow it. Most private servers allow you to interrupt it. Curse of Tongues and Mind Numbing usually affect her. Tanks can break out healers that get repentance by moving her to them, and then her dropping consecrate. But she's a sleeper, man. She's don't sleep on this boss, because everything can be going fun until she chains 6 people, and it's like a Cthulhu chain. Every person it hits, the damage doubles. So you can one-shot 5 people in your raid, and then to be sitting there like, oh, this is a boss where if you bring 4 melee to, one of the melee need to go to ranged and literally shoot a bow the whole time. Literally, they cannot DPS. You put 4 melee in there, they're going to chain the tank, and then tank's going to insta-die.
Damn, dude. I feel like Dustbone's been there, dude.
If you have a rogue, they can cloak break the chain like it does.
Yeah, if there's a timer for it.
But yeah, for
Usually-
the most part, I mean, don't worry, you're never gonna have 4 melee. So.
Yeah.
That's so true. She also silences, so being a paladin tank on that fight really sucks because you're silenced half the fight. She just pulses a silence like Mother Shiraz in Black Temple.
Okay.
One thing too for the chat, it is an optional boss, so like you're gonna kill her obviously, but you don't have to kill her to finish the dungeon.
Optional boss. I'll add a note there.
Yep. So as a prot pally on this fight, I usually just back up heal and I do all the cleanses. And I abuse the Blessing of Sacrifice debuff. I put that on the tank. I get repented. It immediately breaks my repent. And if the other 2 healers are repented and aren't getting broke, I know my holy lights are going to keep that tank alive.
Gotcha. Any decent loot?
The Shaman Totem is the big one off that fight. Healers, there's a really good starting mace, but the Shaman Totem is like BIS forever. So
wow, Carriger
that is
BIS forever. That's the first time we heard that today.
Yep, your resto shamans will really want that totem. And other than that, yeah, there's good tank loot, a lot of different types of gloves, but other than that, I'd say the mace and the shaman totem is your big 2-ticket items off that boss.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that sword, the tanking sword. That shit's awesome. Let me get there. Alright, so I think that's it. Anything else on Maiden Verse? Doesn't look like it. Alright, let's move on. Opera event. This is a cool one, guys. Come on now. Yeah, I know you guys know this one. Opera event. This is not even a boss. It's an experience, right? Dustbone, man. Maybe you can... If
It's
you
an
have
event.
Yeah.
Oh, it is so much fun. It's probably one of the coolest fights that the experiences that they've made. I mean, there's 3 different events, so you get to live your childhood horror stories, I guess.
Oh yeah. What do you mean by that, though? Try to break it down.
So you have the Little Red Riding Hood event, the Wizard of Oz, and the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well said. Yeah. And pretty much you go onto the stage with your raid, right? You come up on here, then the event triggers, and each of the 3 has different mechanics to it, right? And maybe...
Oh yeah, and Romeo and Juliet, there's 4.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet.
There's 3.
Oh,
It's Romeo and Juliet, Big Bag Wolf, and then the Dorothy crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you only get 1 per thing. It rotates every week.
Rotates
It's just
every
random.
Gotcha. Want to break it down, Crix? The fights, like, you know, mechanics for each one, or if it's hard at all, or if it's easy, maybe it's face roll.
No, 2 of them are really, really easy. The Big Bad Wolf one is just a tank and spank, and every now and then he'll chase somebody, and he turns them into, like, what, dwarf, Little Red Riding Hood or whatever, and you gotta run. Yeah, you gotta run away, like the DBM thing says. The other one is Romeo and Juliet, but it's like Romulo and Juliana or whatever that is, and it's just another tank and spank, but you rotate. So you kill one, he goes away, the other one opens up, you kill them, and then you kill both of them. And those are really easy. And the other one is the Dorothy one, where they spawn the 4 guys. You have to kill like the Tin Man, the Straw Man, Dorothy, and you got to nuke them down. And then the boss Crone comes out, and that's the only fun one because it's actually a kill order.
Gotcha. There's some good loot from drops on this too, right? Isn't there? There's a good DPS trinket.
I think there's good loot for everybody.
Crix, how about you finish the fight? Now that you've killed all 5 of those mobs, what happens after?
Crone comes out, and you got to kill Crone.
Thank you.
That's what I said. I said that.
I didn't hear it.
I said that, bro.
So it's is it?
Crone comes out, you got to nuke Crone down.
Gotcha. And the cool thing about this, I love this event, because after you kill them, right, don't you go behind the curtain and you go like backstage and you go down into the basement and it continues? It just really adds to like that. It's up, yeah. It adds that like effect of. It doesn't feel like Molten Core, like some huge raid where you're walking through. It feels like you're winding through these passages and stuff. Yeah,
it's fun.
Plus, there's an audience out in front of you too, which is kind of cool too.
Oh yeah, these little ghost specters, huh? That's pretty sweet.
It's definitely a very well done event. Most people are going to enjoy it.
Oh yeah. All right, moving on to the curator next. Is that the next one? Is it already there?
Yep.
And as there isn't crazy good loot off that either. There's a gun for hunters, which is decent, but that's about it. Legacy, I guess, more hunter loot.
Okay. Is curator the next boss though? That's the
Curator.
Be sure.
Yeah, you passed
Nightbane would be the next one, but if you're first starting out, Nightbane's kind of one of the last ones. So it's up to you. If it's on farm content, Nightbane would be your next one.
So this one, you go up into the hall, right? And as he's walking around, he's in the menagerie. Very, very...
Yeah, with some annoying trash before it, too.
Yeah, it's another cool visually area. All right, Kael, what do you think about the Curator, man? Hard boss, easy boss? Anything interesting?
It's an easy boss concept-wise. Kind of hits the tanks hard. Kind of puts... It can be stressful on healers. It's a very fun DPS fight. As he advocates, you know, you get to do 200-some percent, 300% damage.
It's almost like a phase fight. It's almost like two phases. You have one phase where he takes 95% damage reduction, and he spits out these fucking flares that you have to kill that cost like 5% of his mana or something. And after you kill them, he keeps putting them out, and then he runs out of mana, and then he evocates to get his mana back. And when he evocates, he has a shit like what would you say, 200% more damage, and that's when you blow everything and pump.
So, are any of these fights particularly melee or range friendly? Or are they all?
None of these fights are melee friendly.
Okay.
This one is very hunter friendly. Specifically, they don't have pushback if the sparks are shocking them, whereas casters might get pushback, which kind of sucks. Hunters can drop threat because, of course, if the tank isn't pumping as hard as the DPS, you'll lose threat. The other mechanic on this fight is like a hateful strike. So who's ever second in threat. So in phase 1, it's usually a healer or a shadow priest is another really good one. They take like 80% of their health every time, but that's every 20 seconds or so.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole fight is still flares. It seems like it's kind of a shitty. It's hard as a cast, as a warlock. I can't hard cast a shadow bolt or anything crazy like that because they die so fast. You can sneak a shadow burn off sometimes.
So the hunter really excels on this one.
Yeah, warlocks excel on the actual boss killing part because they can time their dooms right and everything. They can pump into the boss, but they're kind of worthless on the.
I see. And this boss drops tier 4?
This boss does.
Yep, goes maybe.
Very cool, man. That's big. Very big.
There's an agility ring that is really good. A lot of people fight over Garona's Signet, and this is your first big tank item. Is the legs off this boss too?
Also the first. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just the Wern Dynasty leggings are really, really strong.
It's your first time seeing a decent staff too for casters.
Nope.
All right, let's move on. Terrestrian Illhoof. We got a first and last name here. This little demonic satyr-looking guy. What about this guy?
That's why you bring warlocks.
Yep, it's a warlock fight.
To be honest, I can't visualize where he is in Kara.
He's behind a hidden door.
Yeah.
It's a hidden library door. You click in, it slides open, and he's down a little ramp. He has a really cool. You can either do him or Shade of Iran. Most people would opt in for Shade of Iran. Now, why is because if you kill Shade of Iran, you get your teleport up ability.
Is this guy mandatory to get done to complete?
No, he's another optional.
Optional.
He's another optional.
Very important though. He's very important.
He drops a lot of good loot.
Oh, really? Okay.
Very important.
Any mechanics that are hard with him or good?
Yep, shackles, demonic chains. He said just like in Dire Maul, puts you in a sacrifice, and the DPS have to turn and kill the demonic chains, and you can make a macro for it.
Okay.
It's not a hard thing. The warlocks are there to AoE the imps down, but other than that, he's got a pet himself. If you kill it, he takes 50% increased damage. So
you definitely kill it first then.
You kill his pet, he'll resummon it a few minutes back, kill it again, puts the damage debuff on him. You can keep doing that. Some strategies just ignore it, but it's a pretty smart move to cleave it down.
Okay. And what is this juicy loot you're talking about off him?
An elemental shaman's like borderline best in slot for almost ever. Drops a lightning capacitor trinket, which is just shoots a lightning every time you crit. You get a charge. After he charges, it shoots a lightning bolt, which again is just really good for Ellie.
Wait. Don't they have a talent that also shoots another lightning bolt?
Yeah, and it's
they just shoot lightning.
So they're just lightning bolt flinging left like every millisecond.
slinging lightning, dude.
Holy shit, that's actually awesome. That sounds so cool.
This also drops another enchant for the raid.
Soul Frost, maybe.
Soul Frost, which is the big one for the Warlocks and Frost Mage.
Caster upgrade.
There is Fool's Bane, which is a really good DPS mace if you happen to have a warrior. And then other than that, the Feral Druids will want this fight.
Yeah,
it drops their weapon.
That's Feral Druid steps like this, right?
Yeah, it's really good. It has a lot of hit rating on it, too.
Alright, that's what's up. Let's keep it moving. We got next Shade of Verano. I remember this guy. Yeah, he's up in the library area, right? He's a ghost.
He is the 0 armored boss I was talking about. So your hunters and your rogues will tee off on this boss. They will do really, really high damage, and he does not have a threat table.
So let me ask something stupid. If you have armor pen or like armor pen, I guess that's what I'm thinking of. Would you use it on him?
No, he's at
you don't need the armor pen.
Full pump.
So you actually would take that gear off because you can't get negative armor, or can you get negative armor?
I don't think you can.
I don't think there's negative values.
It wouldn't be like a damage increase.
On private servers, there were negative values, but on retailers or like
the only thing I ever heard about that is like spell penetration in Classic would do that, but no, I don't think it does this in TBC.
Gotcha. So this is the big numbers fight for the physical damage dealers.
Yep. Fun fucking fight, man. This is arguably one of the best boss fights, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, why is that, Crix?
It's just it's one of those fights where I'm not spamming the whole time. At some point in life, I have to stop and fear and banish, or both, or just one to an elemental. And you have to move a lot. You get the blizzard, and what's cool is like on some servers, the blizzard covers half, like pre-nerfs, like it's half the room, and the other servers it's a small little quarter. You got flame wreath that people are gonna fuck up all the time. I can't wait to see it. It's just like a mechanic. I think it's the first heavy mechanic fight in TBC.
I don't quite understand the mechanics really though. Can you maybe explain it a little bit more?
He has certain abilities like a mage would. He can fireball and arcane missile, right?
Okay.
And which fireball usually gets kicked, and frostbolt. The frostbolt and fireball, so you get kicked, and then you let arcane missiles free cast. And then you can blizzard, which is on pre-nerf covers half the room. On normal servers covers like a quarter of the room, and it just goes in a big clockwise circle, and it slows you down, and it's annoying as fuck. And then he has Arcane Explosion where he sucks everybody in and then slows everybody down. You have to run out, and then he does an Arcane Explosion to one-shot you.
Yeah, and you have to get out in time before he does it, right? Or
yeah. Which you can as long as you fucking run right away. You know.
Makes sense. Oh, I wonder if you could cloak that like a fucking Chad as the rogue.
You can cloak it like a Chad.
The big thing is, as you're getting pulled in, your priest casts Mass Dispel, hits everyone. Everyone runs at full speed. Is really the
yeah, you save cloak for like shit blizzards, like if blizzards fall in the wrong time, or like you need to.
Is this the fight you're looking forward to as a rogue, Dusty? To show
it's a fun fight. There's a lot of moving. So like for melee again, if he casts blizzard on himself or on the tank, like you have to run out, like or reposition. So there's still you can bump, but there's a lot of moving.
This is a fight where if rogues have their PvP gloves, they can do almost every interrupt too.
Yep.
They can feel like they're actually bringing something to the raid.
The PvP gloves are huge. They make rogues viable for a lot of things.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good fight.
All rogues get the PvP gloves.
So the PvP gloves give you an extra interrupt, and all it costs is combo points. So you can kick, deadly throw, kick, deadly throw. You can literally just you won't do a lot of damage, but you'll make the boss do no damage.
Yeah, basically for people that don't know, it makes your deadly throw interrupt every time you use it.
Oh, that's crazy. So you just keep interrupting all of his casts over and over again as a rogue?
Yeah, you can weave interrupts with kick and deadly throw. It makes the council fight in Black Temple like very trivial.
Wait, so you can't cast shit on a rogue then if they have that?
No.
Correct. The downside to doing every interrupt is Shade will run out of mana faster. Now that's why you would let Arcane Missiles channel, is because it's channeling. It's like a 4-second channel. Yes, it's doing damage, but you're not interrupting his cast. When he goes he sheeps the whole raid, drinks to full, and then he pyroblasts the whole raid, which does a lot of damage. You try to kill him before you get to that point.
Yeah,
Stop check.
You rarely your group would have to be like multiple people dead type scenario to get to that point, but you definitely don't want to get there.
Okay. Moving on. Next up, we got the chess event. This is another great one, guys. Yo,
this is a hard fight, bro.
This fight is so much fun.
Is it really? Is it hard?
This is a rough fight. This is probably the hardest fight. Honestly, if I had to rank like top 5 tier listing of hardest fights, this is on here.
Jesus Christ.
Yo, I thought this was the one that you couldn't lose.
It's free.
You'd have to fuck it up really bad. Or it is free, right? Okay.
It's hard if you're trying to solo it. Put it that way.
Solo.
To solo, it's hard.
Yo, it's making me nostalgic looking at it, dude. Like, just look at it, guys. You have the infantrymen up front as the pawns. You got the
It's
knights.
hard for Crix because he treats it like checkers instead of chess.
Shut the fuck.
I love chess.
King me!
You got the rooks as the elementals and the doom guards. Anyway, sorry.
Have you
break
ever
down.
seen anybody wipe?
How do you win? How do you win? What is it? Like, what the hell is this?
King dies, you wipe.
King dies, you wipe. Okay. So it's actually chess. So everybody picks a character, right, and gets on the.
Each piece has a different ability. Like your action bars change, and each piece has a different ability, and you just got to whatever team kills the king first.
So how do you set people up though, Kael? Like if you're the raid leader and you're trying to just get this done efficiently, like what are you telling people to get on?
You put lower experienced people on the pawns or the grunts or the soldiers or whatever they're called, and you have them move them out of the way. Because you want your biggest damage dealer on the board is the water elementals or the Felguard or the Doom Guard. They do a huge AoE fire or water attack, which hits like everything for 4,500 damage. Now, your second smart player, smartest, like, or just people who are really aware of the game, you'll want them on the Necrolites or the Priest to heal, to be like paying attention to heal the right targets. Your heal is on like an 8-second cooldown, so you can't just heal. You have to time your heals accordingly. And generically, this fight will be very quick, very easy. But all you do is you bum rush and kill the king. You get your king on their king. You get, if you want to reduce the damage, you'll get the horses on the king or the wolves on the king, whichever one. It doesn't really matter. And you surround the king with all your damage dealers because he can pop Bloodlust or Heroism, which gives him 50% damage increase. And other than that, it's just kill the king.
This takes a while though, right? Doesn't it take like a good amount of time to just go through it all, or how long does it take?
2 to 3 minutes. It's pretty easy.
All right,
have you ever seen a wipe?
I have never seen a wipe in my life.
No comment.
No comment.
I have wiped on it before too, actually.
I can see pugs wiping on this, or like randoms, like
just don't know what to do.
Like someone just like running up and starting the event.
Yeah,
medieval fuck with the board too. He'll heal other targets. He'll put fire like you got to move out of.
Does he buff things too? The one you make him like super.
Yeah, yeah, it makes him hit really hard.
Okay. Any decent? Oh, this drops the sword, right? The tanky sword.
King's Defender.
King's Defender.
Dude, that's a really iconic one. I wish I could pull it up right now. Google that if you're watching King's Defender. Iconic tanking sword right there. All right, let's move on. Prince. Oh wait, no. Prince Malchezaar is last, right?
Well, you skipped. You do Nether Spite too, and you're ready to chest.
Well, you usually do. Yeah, I usually do dragons.
It's very common to do dragons last. Yep.
Oh, it's very common. Why is that?
Because they're harder.
They are the harder. They're the hardest 2 bosses technically in the dungeon.
Okay. So we can do Prince Malchezaar then. So this is the dude, Mr. Gorehowl dropping her himself, man. It's awesome. You go up to the top of the tower. Let's break it down for the people. Okay, let's start with you, man. What do you think about this?
All right. It's a 3-phase fight where melee, if you bring them, have to pay attention because he does mechanics that really only affect melee. It's called Enfeeble. Brings you to 1 health. So any damage you were to take at that point will instantly kill you, and then he casts a Shadow Nova, so you have to get out. Again, this will be a tank gear dependent fight though. In phase 2, he puts on 2 of his decapitator weapons, which are huge axes, and he starts slapping your tanks. He has a thrash ability, which is like 3 attacks at once. So if a tank has enough threat, they're usually going to stop attacking this boss. Because if you parry haste this boss, he can global your tank. Okay, it's like 3 attacks at once can global your tank. No, ideally you want a warrior on this tank.
But it's really like 1 attack because it's Thrash, you're saying, right? Or
yeah, but you don't want to take a melee, parry haste him, Thrash, like you will.
Okay.
You go night night. Yep. And it's not nothing like as a group. Don't get mad over it. It is always a chance. Like, a warrior with shield blocks, a better tank to have on this. Phase 3, his weapons run loose. They literally go and hit. It's always a healer. Pro tip: if you're a paladin, you can taunt these weapons. You can't physically target his weapons. But if a paladin targets the person they're attacking and taunts, they'll come to the paladin they have plate. Them having plate gear makes them take way less damage.
Yeah.
The other big part of this fight, which that I kind of skipped past, is there's infernals. These infernals were completely random. They land, you don't kill them, you don't hit them, but they pulse AoE fire, so you have to get away from them.
Sorry, did you say you don't kill them though?
Nope, they
literally
land, and I think after like 3 minutes they go away. Maybe it's more, but they
warlocks
do.
banishing them?
Nope,
you can't. I don't think you can target them.
You can target them, but they have oodles of health, and it would be a big waste of time to even attempt to handle them. And I don't think banishing them works.
Now, I haven't done much private server or TBC stuff, but on retail, when this was current content, we used to kind of bug him out by tanking him by the door, and everyone would stand inside the door and avoid basically all mechanics. Is that still something, or do you think it'll be something that might roll over into classic TBC?
So on most TBC private servers, Prince is a very buggable boss. He's you can safe spot him multiple areas. Right inside the door, there's a little ledge on our current server. If you were to jump up there, you didn't have a threat table. Nothing could target you. If the Infernal landed next to you, it wouldn't even pulse and hit you if you were up on that little ledge. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to see safe spotting or somehow getting him outside of his room in the room before.
So let me just. So it's 3 phases. You said phase 1. There's no infernals. So if it was at phase 2 infernals, phase 3.
There are infernals all throughout the fight.
Okay. So in phase 2 is when he brings up the big axes and he starts thrashing and fucking your tank up.
Yep. So all throughout the fight as well, he does put a power word or shadow word pain on your tank, and it does a good amount of damage. So just make sure you're dispelling it.
Okay. And then phase 3.
Phase 3, he has an ability that makes the whole raid take 100% increased damage. Again, you're going to want to watch out for this. Tanks just usually hit a trinket or be prepared to use a cooldown if you get hit low. But you're bloodlusting phase 2. You want to get out of phase 2 as fast as you can. You want to not have your tank get global. You want to make that window as short as possible.
And that enfeeble you were talking about, where it brings everybody down to 1 health, that's with the infernals banging on everybody. Like, so is that just happening throughout the fight? It's not phase specific.
Yeah. So if you get enfeebled and you take 1 tick of the fire pulsing AOE, you die. You insta die.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you need to be prepared to just like potion and recover like immediately as soon as it happens. Hellstone. Yeah.
If you get a bad infernal, as we call it, the tank has to move. Like, you can't just tank them up against the 1 wall and be happy. Like, eventually you might get a bad infernal, and you have to take off moving, and the raid has to move with you. That's 100% going to happen.
We're just gonna Petri Flask all mechanics in TBC.
Petri Flask, yeah.
Everybody hit it.
That's crazy. Okay, so then. Yeah, that's about it for him, right? I mean, the loot, there's some fat loot off this guy, right? He drops,
so here's your tier hound.
Yeah, man.
Your hunter's big bow drops off this. Your caster's big neck.
Oh, which one is that? The hunter bow?
The Sun Fury.
Oh, shit, yeah, the one that... Looks like a
It's a really good looking bow.
Is the dagger good for tanking?
No.
It's so good. Dude.
Not really.
Yeah, so then you have the ring too.
Yep, there's we call it the melee ring.
That makes more fights than the ring off Curator.
Yo, the Sun Fury bow of Phoenix got a brother feeling like he's gonna roll Blood Elf Hunter, man. No, but it's a nice looking bow.
There's the best in slot caster cloak, which lasts for a very long time off that boss.
And the best in slot dagger too, doesn't that?
The Mind Blade's really good. Best in slots, depending if world bosses are out or not. But yeah, it's really good.
Is Gorehowl good? I mean, I know melee's not that good, but what if you could use it in PvP and stuff?
Yeah.
No. It's because it's an axe, so you're not going to use it in PvP. And you want to use a sword if you're
craftables are always better than that thing. But if it's a really good off-spec piece, or like super early on, yeah, sure, it might be an upgrade, but it gets replaced pretty quick.
It'll be good for like the prop paladin, so that you can pick it up and go smack shit with red if you wanted to.
That's a collector's item right there, though. You just picked that up for the swag.
It's a meme.
For the flavor text.
Yep.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on to the dragons, baby. Here we go. We're making great pace, guys. All right, Nightbane, or which one you want to do next? Netherspite. Which one first?
Netherspite.
Netherspite first. All right. Netherspite. Blue dragon. And you're saying that these are the hardest fights in Karazhan, guys. So listen up. This might actually save your life one day. Break it down for us. Netherspite.
In reality, it's a rinse and repeat fight, but each player is going to get a debuff that lasts the entire phase. So only one person can do one beam per phase. Now, you can do multiple beams. Like, again, this is a very complicated fight on paper, but it's really easy once you understand. There's red, green, and blue. Red is for the tanks, blue is for the DPS, green is for healers or people without a mana bar, hence the rogue.
Yep.
Ideally, like, disregard the green beam is what I would always say, but don't ever let the green beam hit the boss. It heals the boss percentage-wise, so the boss can immediately start getting healed really quick. The green beam reduces your mana all the way to 0. So if you have a rogue in it, the rogue can sit in it the whole time, or a warrior. They don't have mana, so
is it static, or does it keep moving around and you have to keep adjusting yourself?
It increases.
Yep, it ramps up over time. So if you run into it as a healer, your heals start hitting really hard, but your mana pool shrinks.
Oh, interesting. So there's a pro and a con
so
to it?
Melee can sit in it in the entire phase.
Every beam has a pro and a con.
That's so sick. Okay.
Blue makes you do percentage-wise more and more damage. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Also makes you take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% more damage. Now, why? It's like, oh, damage taken, not a big deal. Blue also puts a dot on you, which ticks harder and harder and harder. Eventually will kill you. So you need to juggle the blue one with DPS.
Yeah, you let them get about, I think I remember, doesn't it usually like 3 or 4 stacks?
No, so it goes up to 50. So you want to have the first DPS take it to 20. Okay. The second DPS can take it to 40. You can let the last 10% hit the boss, not a big deal. Or a healer can run in there and soak it.
Gotcha.
Now you're on to the red beam. Red beam, you pretty much cannot die while standing in it, no matter who you are. But the only thing that will kill you in the red beam is if it's a one-shot. Now, while you gain defense rating and you reduces damage taken, it reduces your max health. Eventually, your health, you could have like 400 health. He'll auto-attack you, you just die.
Okay.
So now, the tricky part here at the red beam is the tank needs to dance in and out of it. 5 stacks, jump out, let the boss get 5 stacks, jump back in. How many ever stacks, it really doesn't matter, just all depends on your group.
Well, it probably is good to have 2 tanks for this then, right? Couldn't you just have one?
So you want the, you do. You do want the boss to get stacks. Some, not continuingly stacked, but you do want them to get some. 2 tanks on this, so ideally I usually will tank. I'll let the Prot Warrior or Feral Druid tank it first. And as a Paladin, if I want threat, I'll go stand in the blue beam as a tank and do really high threat. When the tank jumps out of the red beam, ideally you want him to still hold threat, but again, this is why pugs fail at this, because they don't know how to balance all 3 beams. So this is why this one's considered one of the harder bosses, even though once you understand all 3 beams, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Beyond that, so at 50 stacks, right? Each beam goes up to 50 stacks. He goes into Nether phase, where he becomes like a shadow and starts turning and AoEing, like breathing individual players. Just spread out around him. That way not everyone's... It's like... Whatever player it hits, it's going to hit people 10 yards around that person and knock them back. So if you just spread out in a nice circle around the boss, assuming healers can hit everyone, it's just heal through it. He doesn't have a threat table at this point either.
That's it. After that phase, you just die.
Goes right. Yep. So he'll come back into his normal phase again, and you again. Now you have to. Like if I tank the red beam first, I now have a debuff where I can't take the red beam, so my off tank then has to take the red beam, which is the juggling part of the fight. The 2 DPS that took the blue beam the first phase cannot take it again, so now your other 2 DPS have to step in.
Okay.
And if the rogue took the green beam the first phase, he cannot take it the second phase, so then the warrior will go in the green beam.
I believe the rogue can cloak it to debuff off and then take the green beam again.
That'd be if they allow it, great. If not,
then you just have the other tank.
Yep, your other tank goes
It's
in
a
the
nice
green
piece
beam.
of utility if it does work, though, man. Being able to just make
I
the fight
remember
way
it
easier.
working back in the day, but who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, if a paladin can just bubble it, or a rogue can cloak it, mage ice block, it'd be nice.
I will say that's going to be some of the exciting things. We're not going to know exactly how things are going to function the first time in, so it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any decent gear off the sky, or?
The rogue wants his weapon, drops Spite Blade. It's also a hunter weapon.
Yep.
Solid chest.
The legs are pretty good too for rogues.
Really good legs. The leather legs off this boss are really strong for a lot of classes. Rogues, enhanced shamans, warriors, hunters. They're really good. They have a lot of hit rating and 3 sockets.
Is the offhand any good? The jewel?
A caster offhand.
Yep. Caster offhand's really good. It's got hit on it, and casters want hit like really, really badly.
Okay, and last but not least, we got Nightbane. Pretty cool looking boss. I remember this one. This guy is at the top of the tower, and he flies around, and you're like on this keep, running back and forth on it. Yeah, I remember this guy being pretty hard back in the day. What's so hard about Nightbane?
He's a hard-hitting boss. Generically, he does dragon things. His tail does a tail swipe. It'll knock you down. He does a fear. He does a cleave. So in general, he's just a hard-hitting boss. Every 25%, this boss will fly into the air and start breathing fire onto the raid, which is the transition phase. And then he'll summon skeletons that you'll have to kill as well. He also puts Charred Earth effect, which, Charred Earth, on the ground that you have to, you can't stand in. It hurts.
Okay.
I think the rain of bones where people die.
Yep. You can't go too far away from this boss either. You can't just range him, otherwise he'll barrage the whole raid and kill the raid.
So he does. Seems like the hardest part about him is just raw damage output. He just does a ton of damage.
Yep. So again, he does a fear. So a warrior is your ideal tank on this. And you'll want, they can do a fear immunity, which is great. If not, fear wards and tremor totems on your other 2 options, paladin or druid.
Threat reset when he lands.
Yep. Hunters are really good on this for Mr. X, because every time he lands, it is a threat reset.
Oh wow! So everybody has to chill out for a second as the tank reestablishes control.
If I'm the off tank on this fight as a protection paladin, I usually will judge and exorcism him just to make sure it goes to me, and then the main tank pulls off me, and then I go back to my normal
So he's
position.
an undead dragon then?
He is.
Oh, that's fucking cool, man.
Yep.
Alright, so you get to use exorcism the whole time. So why wouldn't so you're saying Prop Pally isn't as good because they get feared, right? But you have Fear Ward.
They get feared. Prop Pallies, they take the damage pretty bad.
Yeah, the shield block really helps.
Yep. Just in general, this fight I put more on the healers than I do anything. It's a longer fight and a very hard hitting boss. So this will test your healers. If you can, this is normally you 3 heal this fight. 3 healing, it's totally normal.
Somebody said
'Cause it's
holy
a
water
long
for
fight.
the ads is dope. That's interesting. That's another classic.
Ad
now.
management is very important on the fight too. Like being able just to kill them all before he lands, like that's usually your goal.
So sorry, what are the ads again?
They are undead skeletons that have immolation aura. So if everyone stacks, they'll AoE your raid down before you kill them.
Okay.
And if it is pre-nerf Nightbane, those skeleton ads can only take physical and holy damage.
Yep.
They're immune to magic damage.
Yep. So that'll be another interesting thing to see that.
Well, it's a compelling reason to add another melee, that Rogue Andy or something in there to deal
Well,
with.
rogues aren't good on this though because that immolation fire, that aura hurts. So yes, they can pop cloak and do it once, but the next time he lands or summons them, the rogue's like running in and out for sure.
Yeah, like you can go in with like cloak up, like you hit adrenaline rush or cloak or blade flurry, and like go in and fucking go ham for 10 seconds. And then
Just have your hunters nuke them down.
Yeah.
Yep. In your holy paladins, or like a holy paladin, holy wrath, or a prop paladin, holy wrath. Your prop paladin, if it's pre-nerf, I don't see this fight being doable without a prop paladin.
Yep.
You would need some form of tank to hold threat on those ads while the hunters kill them.
Gotcha. Now, what's the reward for this guy? Anything juicy, or is it? Do some people just skip this guy because it's like not?
This is your first spirit. Like your druids and your priests get their first spirit staff off this boss, which is a really good healing weapon. Your tanks get a really strong shield. It's a paladin shield. Their tank shield comes from Gruul. The warrior tank shield comes from Gruul. Fight me on that.
No, that's fair.
Caster chest.
You get the shields from elemental shamans, I think. Yeah.
There's a good healing necklace on this boss too, for shamans and pallies.
Well, and it's a 2-mint too as well.
Yeah, you need it for SSC.
Yep,
Yeah.
This is a T5 attunement boss.
I feel like every boss we've been over, there's some juicy stuff that drops. It's not by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, it's fun. You'll be in Karazhan for a while, and it's fun to run for a while. Good trash loot too. The trash loot, there's amazing trash loot in here as well.
Since it's a 10-man, how much loot is dropped by the boss? Is it 2 pieces?
2 piece is what it should start at.
I think they're really 2 pieces. Yeah.
2 pieces, which is nice though. I mean, 10 people instead of 40, right? I mean, come on now. This is gonna be pretty nice. I'm really excited for
Yeah,
it.
your tier bosses though drop 2 pieces and 2 pieces a tier. So.
Gotcha.
So curator. Well, curator actually might only be 1 piece and then 2 pieces a tier. Same with prince, but I don't remember how the patches went. I could be wrong on that.
I think at the beginning it was just 1 piece of tier and 2 pieces, and then they upped it when they added the patches.
Well, that's the scary part. Is if that's the case, then Meg Therodon will only drop like 1 tier chest, which will just be terrible.
It's gonna be interesting.
That'll feel like vanilla for sure. Gearing up.
Gotcha. Well, we got through it all, guys. Yo, we made a really good time. We got through all the bosses. If
In
you guys
2 hours.
Have any questions about anything Karazhan related? Like, you can see how much of a wealth of knowledge these guys are. This is unbelievable, man. I've learned so much already. Yo, Crix, you have any thoughts from, any tips and tricks as well that you want to chime in? You may have this whole amazing guide.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of warlock stuff, but it's just all in that little guide, man. We went over it. Kael went over most of it. Every time I would think of something to say and wait for him to finish, he'd say it. So.
I do knows his Karazhan very, very well.
For real. 250 times or something? You think you ran it, Kael?
Yeah, I mean, early on, you're clearing a lot of extra trash. Like the whole opera audience, I run in with bubble, pop holy wrath, pull the whole room. I run back, drop a frost trap, and I just run in a circle while the warlocks kill it. And then they're in there looking for their necklace. Your Ellie Shaman is looking for their ring. There's some expertise gloves in there that are really good for some melee.
Good leather gloves.
Yep. Those are it. The leather gloves, expertise. Bear druids have some tank boots. Like there's definitely is some nice loot in there for off trash as well.
Hell yeah, brother. Dustbone, anything rogue tips and tricks, any consumes you bring to raid, anything that you want to share?
Just more survivability stuff. As I said, you're going to be moving around a lot, so just remember you're not going to be at the top of the damage. But you're there to help. They need you for certain things.
They need you for certain things. So there is stuff.
It's kind of like hunters in vanilla. You know, hunters in vanilla are probably the most important class in the raid because they regulate tempo, they regulate how quickly the raid does things, but their damage is pitiful. Like they don't really pump, but they're not there to pump. They're there to pull trash. They're there to keep the tempo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. Yeah, very well said for sure. So you kind of feel like you're in that role a bit as a rogue. There's always something you can do to help the raid. Yeah,
exactly. You're just there to help.
What is the reset on Karazhan? Dumb question, but is it a week?
It is a week.
A weekend.
Gotcha. It is a week. Okay.
And then I know I said early on there will become it is during Isle. When Isle comes out, they go ahead and they slap badges of justice inside Karazhan, thus making it a fast way to get badges.
I'll kill them.
Isle will release. There are items. Badges they're not hard to get because by then ZA will be out. But when you need 150 badges for one item out of Isle, you're gonna need a lot of Karazhans, a lot of ZAs, daily heroics, which come out during Black Temple or something. I don't remember the patch, but daily heroics aren't out right away. But yeah,
I have a question. Do we know? Do all heroics drop badges before that?
Yeah.
Is that how you get your badges then?
Yep. Every heroic boss drops one. Daily heroics should not be out on launch, but daily heroics just give you 2 extra badges. So.
Very nice. Question: will Kael do a TBC Paladin guide? Dr. Kael, will you marry? You've got a lot of fans in the chat, Dr. Kael. Rightfully so, though, man. You're an actual beast. And he has no Twitch that we can even shill or plug. Can somebody convince this man to make a Twitch?
Crix is trying to get me on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you signed up, bud.
Yeah, the one that I'd want to do is the content I want to release is more trash, like Hydral trash, Black Temple trash. I want to help the guilds get through the sticky part of the raid. There's a million guides on how to kill bosses. I want to be the guy to show you how to mark trash, pull trash from buff private servers to maybe easy TBC retail. I think that's content that's missed, and that's something I'll be working on in the near future, and helping people get through trash. So.
Yeah, that's genius because there's no guides on trash. Hydro trash is really.
That's how you know that this man knows his shit. When like the content he's passionate to make isn't the boss guys, it's the trash guys. That's just such a 200 IQ approach to it. You know, like most people.
Well, you got trash. There's like Tempest Keep trash can be. It's more of a get carried meme. We sucked at buffed content, but Tempest Keep trash can be hard. Sunwell trash is insanely difficult. It's not just walk in there. It's everybody start casting a spell in 3, 2, 1, like 25 people. Yeah. There's Hydral trash. There's tips and tricks to each type of trash. Like in Hydral, I can put on Nature Resist for the Gargoyles or Shadow Resist for the Necrolytes. Like, again, I would love to go in and like cover a wide variety of even Karazhan, like showing you how I do big Karazhan trash pulls.
Hell yeah, as a prod pal, a lot of people are gonna.
Can't wait to see that.
This guy's gonna be the WoW Hobbs of TBC.
Crix has been with me, and we've pulled Morose's whole room in one pull. Waiters, ushers, all one pull.
Mm-hmm.
And it's early. Yeah, I'm not talking T6 geared. I'm in 4-piece righteous doing huge AoE pulls. Or the whole hallway to Maiden, that's a fun one because casters do 50% reduced damage, so it makes it a long fight, but it's fun.
So guys, if you learned something this evening and you want to support the show, I would just ask you guys one favor in the chat. Like, type something in the chat if you're alive, please. You know, we try to have guests on every week, and like, these guys are just coming in here and sending, spending their time like free of charge, just out of passion and collaboration and stuff. So the least we can do is just throw them a follow right on Twitch or YouTube. So I'm gonna throw the socials in. There's nothing I can plug for Dr. Kael, unfortunately. Not even a Twitter.
It's all good, man.
Whatever it is, but there's Dustbones right there. I'm gonna throw Crix's in there as well, and just toss them a follow, guys, if you have a second.
Yeah, baby.
You know, a lot of effort goes into this stuff, man. I mean, I'm
Yeah, I've been slacking. I haven't streamed I think since hardcore, but
hell yeah,
to get back on it.
Dr. Kill starts streaming. Yeah, you get a lot of fans. We'll definitely get some hosts and some support over that way. Yeah, there's Crix YouTube as well. We do this every week, guys. And it's maybe a little slow right now, but as we get closer to TBC, man, like, you guys are going to be the day ones, right? That were here before the announcement when they put that out at BlizzCon Line. So leading up to that, we'll probably do like a BlizzCon party where we're all just here popping champagne or having it ready, or looking like gigantic idiots if they don't announce it by some insane twist of fate. But we'll have to see. Guys, thank you so much for your time. You have any final closing thoughts for the people, gents?
Just peace, guys. Stay safe. Hope you guys had a good Halloween.
Yeah. Enjoy. See you in Karazhan.
See you in Karazhan, indeed. Guys, I'm really happy to host Kevin Jordan. He's doing the Hardcore Challenge. Finally, you love to see it. Vanilla game designer, friend of mine at this point. Designed all the classes and spells. And just one of the most high-impact people that contributed to making the best game of all time. So say hi to Kevin for me, guys. And